Chapter 284. He wants to race with God Z. He Xiong was startled as his eyes trailed to He Mingkai. Was God Z going to test his son? Well, one lap is enough. ZH1 will race with all of us. God Z grinned. Ha ha. God Z, how could Mingkai possibly outrun you? However, it's God Z's honor that he thinks so highly of Mingkai. He Xiong patted He Mingkai's shoulder. Mingkai, thank God Z for giving you this opportunity. ZH1 will race with all of you. You're so lucky to be able to race with a top team like ZH1. The old master, He Dinkuan, was excited as well. This was an honor for him and the entire He family team. God Z's expression turned odd as he realized that the old master and He Xiong had misunderstood him. He wanted to race with Lin Yan and He Mingkai. None of the ZH1 team members would be interested in it. However, these were Lin Yan's relatives, so God Z and the others couldn't say what they were thinking. They could only let them continue to misunderstand. It would be too awkward if they explained themselves. In that case, Mingkai will race with us and the He family team will send another racer. What do you think? God Z grinned. Sure. God Z, you can choose anyone you like. He Xiong replied hastily. God Z glanced at Lin Yan without hesitation and grinned. Let's go with her. Her. As soon as Legend Z finished speaking, the anticipation on the faces of the He family team members vanished instantly. How could they let a woman who didn't know anything, who had never even touched a steering wheel, compete with ZH1? God Z. Do you want to choose another racer? He Xiong frowned. There's no need. God Z grinned. She will be the one. God Z, my granddaughter is a navigator, not a racer. Why don't we? He Dinkuan tried to persuade him. Old master, it's fine. She will be the one, God Z replied. If they continued to reject God Z's request, it would be counterproductive. The old master had no choice but to agree. Xiaoyan, slow down. Just run. Don't go too fast. The old master strode over to Lin Yan and instructed her softly. He Dinkuan was afraid that something would happen to Lin Yan. Lin Yan was speechless. She hadn't agreed to run, had she? She really had no interest in this kind of racetrack. He Xiong glanced at Lin Yan and sneered coldly. Xiaoyan, these are all top racers in the country. You really benefited from Mingkai. I'm afraid no one will believe you if you race with them. Forget it, Dad. She doesn't have any hope of winning the race. Just let her run slowly behind us. Don't worry about her. He Mingkai glanced at Lin Yan with a stoic expression. Pei Yutong's gaze landed on He Mingkai and his son as though he was looking at fools. He just hoped that they wouldn't be so scared that they would kneel on the ground when he started running. Miss Lin, please. God Z laughed. Lin Yan was speechless. Was this forcing a duck onto a perch? However, since things had already come to this point, if she didn't run away, it would seem unreasonable. All right then, let's finish this quickly. Lin Yan shrugged. Lin Yan didn't waste any time. She opened the door and got into the driver's seat. As for the ZH1 team members, they drove their exclusive team car into the venue and parked it at the starting point. Update ended. Updated 11 times. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival babies. Below this chapter, 5 babies will get a canvas bag and 5 babies will get a pillow. Chapter 285. The ZH1 team members glanced at each other bitterly as they watched Lin Yan enter the car. Why did they have to race with her? They really couldn't beat her. Not far away, He Mingkai had switched to another car. Just as the ZH1 team members were about to get into their cars, a middle-aged man in a suit strode over to Lin Yan's car. He knocked on the car door as everyone stared at him in bewilderment. Lin Yan rolled down the window and glanced at the smiling man with a puzzled expression. Hello, madam. The middle-aged man greeted her with a smile. "You are?" asked Lin Yan. "Can you let me in?" "I would like to talk to you, madam," the middle-aged man explained. Lin Yan opened the door and watched as the middle-aged man entered. "Madam, you can call me Martin," the middle-aged man said politely. Lin Yan. Lin Yan introduced herself. "Nice to meet you, Miss Lin." The middle-aged man nodded. "Mr. Martin, may I know why you are looking for me?" "I'm busy with the competition." Lin Yan glanced at Martin, looking puzzled. Miss Lin, your competition isn't that important. Miss Lin is also a member of the racing industry, so you should know that there's going to be a movie about the racing industry being filmed overseas, right? Martin said with a smile. The one based on Lang Mang? Lin Yan pondered. She had heard about it before. That's right. Martin nodded. Miss Lin, to tell you the truth, I think your appearance and figure are very suitable for a character in this movie. I wonder if Miss Lin is interested in giving it a try. Suitable for who? Lin Yan blurted out instinctively. I'm sure you're familiar with this role, Miss Lin. If you succeed in the audition, I'm sure you'll be proud of your role. She's the fastest racer on the planet, the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Yeva. Oh, Lin Yan replied expressionlessly. Martin was taken aback by Lin Yan's nonchalant expression. This was the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Why didn't she look excited or excited? Lin Yan had never imagined that she would be able to get a job by participating in a competition. However, she wasn't interested in acting as herself. It wasn't challenging at all. About 5 minutes of footage, but the salary is close to 7 digits. Are you sure you don't want to consider it? Martin continued. Mr. Martin, I think that this role belongs to me. It's tailor-made for me. Lin Yan stood up abruptly and knocked her head against the roof of the car. Martin, just a moment ago, he had been so calm and uninterested. Come, Mr. Martin, come out. Lin Yan rubbed her temples as she swiftly opened the car door and got out. When Martin got out of the car, Lin Yan stepped on the hood and chuckled softly. Mr. Martin, what do you think? Do I look like him? Miss Lin, do you still want to compete? One of the ZH1 members glanced at Lin Yan in confusion. What was Lin Yan talking to this middle-aged man about? Go go go. Lin Yan waved her hand dismissively. What competition? I'm talking about a 7-digit deal. Don't mess around. ZH1's Mumu and God Z were dumbfounded when they heard Lin Yan. Why was she talking about a deal? Chapter 286. Lin Yan ignored the ZH1 team members. She gazed at Martin and chuckled softly. Mr. Martin, I'm sure I'm the best candidate. Do you think I look like her? Martin studied Lin Yan thoughtfully. I don't think you look like her. I don't think Yeva would be this violent, however, I don't know much about the racing industry. I'm only in charge of casting in the country. The auditions are conducted by professionals, but I can give you a chance to audition. Lin Yan was speechless. If he didn't know much about Yeva, why would he say anything? However, for the sake of the 7-figure salary, she had to swallow her pride. Mr. Martin, to be honest, besides being a racer, I'm also a professional actress. It would be perfect for me to act in this role. Oh yeah, do you think it would be difficult for me to audition? Lin Yan grinned at Martin. Martin took a few steps back and scrutinized Lin Yan. Then, he nodded and said, I've watched Yeva's videos. I think that Miss Lin's appearance is suitable for the role, but it will be difficult for you to pass the audition. That's because there are already more than 1,000 people who have qualified for the audition in Hua Nation. Moreover, according to the latest news I've received, a very famous actress in Hua Nation has also qualified for the audition, and she is very popular. Popular? Lin Yan was startled. Who is it? Martin pondered for a moment before he replied, I think her name is. Oh, she has the same surname as you. Her name is Lin Xia. Lin Yan's eyes gleamed coldly when she heard Martin. Lin Xia? The racetrack's Grim Reaper? She wasn't fit to do that. If it hadn't been for Lin Xia, the racetrack's Grim Reaper wouldn't have been banned from competing. Actually, Lin Xia hadn't known that Lin Yan was the racetrack's Grim Reaper. When Lin Xia had visited her overseas, Lin Yan had never mentioned it to her. Hence, Lin Xia had only known that Yeva was a famous racer with a decent income. She had never imagined that her sister was the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Miss Lin, if nothing goes wrong, Lin Xia will eventually get the role of the racetrack's Grim Reaper. However, I think that Lin Xia isn't a racer, so I think that I still stand a chance. That's why I've been watching competitions these days. I want to find female racers who look similar to the racetrack's Grim Reaper. After all, if the producers use the racers I pick, I'll be paid handsomely. Martin explained honestly. Lin Yan was speechless. After a long time, he turned out to be a crew member who cast a wide net, similar to a talent scout. For a big production, there were hundreds of people like Martin, who were looking for suitable candidates everywhere, but they had no right to speak. At most, they would give an audition. How many similar ones have you found? Asked Lin Yan angrily. Martin chuckled. If you include Miss Lin, there are more than a dozen of them. Actually, I'm just trying my luck. After all, Lin Xia is very famous in the country and she looks like the racetrack's Grim Reaper. So, the corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched as she studied Martin. This fellow was really honest. Alright, Miss Lin. This is my name card. If you have made up your mind, you can try your luck. Martin shoved a name card into Lin Yan's hand when she wasn't paying attention. Then, he left without looking back. Chapter 287. As she watched Martin leave, Lin Yan wished that she could pull out a 50-meter sword and hack him to death. Was he kidding her? Xiaoyan, what's wrong? The old master, He Dingkuan, strode forward and asked. Lin Yan shook her head. Grandfather, it's nothing. However, before the old master could say anything, a sudden rumble was heard from behind. In the next second, several red supercars entered everyone's sight. God Z and the ZH1 team members were alarmed when they saw the red cars. One of the red supercars swerved and kicked up a cloud of dust that landed on Lin Yan's body. Lin Yan coughed to clear her throat and frowned at the red sports car. Soon, a few red supercars came to a stop, and several young men got out of the cars. WW. The old master, He Dingkuan, and He Xiong were startled when they saw them. F***CK. Sister Yan, it's the WW team. He Lefeng blurted out anxiously. WW? Lin Yan was puzzled. Lin Yan wasn't familiar with the national teams. Sister Yan, you don't even know what WW is? He Lefeng peered at Lin Yan and explained softly, WW is one of the top teams in the country. They were defeated by ZH1 in the first level of the international competition. Recently, WW got a new captain and they have won the third level of the international competition 3 times in a row. Oh. Lin Yan fell into deep thought. The third level of the international competition. She had never heard of it before, so she wasn't sure. She wouldn't even be able to name a few famous players from the second level of the international competition. God Z, why did you come here to hide from us? A young man with a buzz cut, who was wearing sunglasses, sneered coldly at God Z. What's the matter? Asked God Z, of course. The young man sneered coldly. I'm issuing a challenge to ZH1. WW is challenging ZH1. Mumu and the other ZH1 team members had ugly expressions on their faces. There were a few hundred teams that had signed up for the third level of the international competition. They would draw lots and compete in pairs. ZH1 had been preparing for the third level of the international competition for a long time. They only needed to win one more match to enter the third level of the international competition. However, there was an additional rule in the third level of the international championship. The teams also had the right to challenge. As long as two teams had the same points and were in the same class, they could challenge each other. In the previous third level of the international competition, ZH1 had personally sent WW out of the track. WW bore a grudge against them, so they were here to seek revenge. As long as they defeated ZH1, ZH1 would not be qualified to participate in the third level of the international competition. What do you mean by this? Are you still holding a grudge because you lost to them in the first level of the international competition? One of the ZH1 players bellowed. Heh, what a joke. It's up to you whether you agree to the competition or not. We're not forcing you, are we? The young man with the brush cut laughed. The young man was right. They had the right to challenge, and ZH1 had the right to reject. As they spoke, many members of the media, who were focused on the racing program, were led into the venue by the staff. God Z frowned when he saw so many reporters. WW had come prepared. They had invited so many reporters. If they didn't accept the challenge, wouldn't people think that they were afraid of WW? They were obviously forcing them to accept. God Z, ZH1 hasn't lost a single race this year. Is it because of the rules? Or is it because ZH1 is lucky that they haven't met a top team like WW? One of the reporters looked at God Z and asked. God Z, why did ZH1 come to watch a small race like the He family team today? Or are they trying to avoid WW's challenge? God Z, what does ZH1 have to say about WW's challenge? Do they accept or reject it? Chapter 288. God Z, Zhang Hao joined the team this year and is the captain. Is this the reason why ZH1 doesn't dare to accept the challenge? Are they afraid of losing and not being able to compete in the third level of the international competition? God Z couldn't help but frown at the questions from the reporters. They had come prepared. If they accepted the challenge, it would be almost impossible for ZH1 to win against Zhang Hao, who had won the first level 3 times in a row. However, if they didn't accept the challenge, ZH1's reputation in the racing industry would plummet. ZH1's huge fan base would be disappointed, which was unacceptable to ZH1. God Z, is ZH1 afraid of challenging them? Are they only able to bully a little girl? One of the reporter's eyes landed on Lin Yan, who was standing next to the silver car. That's right. We saw that the entire ZH1 team wanted to compete with the He family. What's going on? Is ZH1 good at bullying the weak and not fighting back? He Dinkuan's expression changed slightly. What did this have to do with the He family team? Besides, ZH1 wanted to recruit He Mingkai. That was why they wanted to test his abilities. Madam, were you competing with the ZH1 team? Suddenly, a reporter walked over to Lin Yan and asked. Lin Yan was wearing a helmet, so her face couldn't be seen clearly. However, her eyes were bright. Lin Yan glanced at the reporter. Had he paid her yet? How could he use her as a weapon without paying her? Yeah. Lin Yan chuckled softly. All the reporters looked as though they had expected this. We are in the midst of a training competition. We are preparing to compete against a racing team. Lin Yan's tone changed abruptly. Even the He family team, ZH1's God Z, and the rest of the reporters were flabbergasted by Lin Yan's words. How could she say something like that? Wasn't Lin Yan forcing ZH1 to do something beyond their abilities? Captain, God Z said that we are too weak and that we can train with the He family team, Lin Yan added. We can train with the He family team. Everyone glanced at each other. God Z and the other ZH1 members stared at Lin Yan in astonishment. What did she mean? God Z also said that such a team isn't worthy of him. Hence, he asked the He family team to accept the challenge, replied Lin Yan. Yen. Old Master He Dinkuan frowned. Isn't this nonsense? What does she want to do? He Xiong said angrily. Purposely humiliating the He family in public, putting aside the fact that there was no suspense in the outcome of the competition, it was impossible for He Jiahe to accept it. Furthermore, if they accepted it, they would definitely be attacked by the He family team's fans after they lost the competition. This kind of scam was the most despised behavior in the industry. The so-called collusion referred to a low-level team like the He family team competing with the top teams in the country in order to raise their reputation. This was called collusion. If they accepted it and won the competition, they would soar to the top. However, if they lost, they would be despised by the racing industry. Old Master He Dinkuan cared about his reputation more than anything else, so it would be better for the He family team to disband. All the media's cameras were trained on Lin Yen. This was the first time they had heard such arrogant words. How arrogant! Madam, you are a member of the He family team, right? Do you know that this is considered a scam by the He family team? Chapter 289. Lin Yen cocked her head and glanced at the reporters. Actually, they weren't lying. In the past, it wasn't rare for a team to try to scam them. A low-level team like the He family team didn't belong to the same world as the WW team in every aspect. However, Lin Yen had her own motives for saying that. Winning this competition would be like trying to put out a burning cart of firewood with a cup of water. It was far from enough. She had to use some special methods. She hadn't expected that WW would come knocking on her door. Not only would she be able to help ZH1 out of their predicament, but she would also be able to boost the He family team's reputation. She would be able to fulfill her grandfather's dream. However, it wouldn't be easy for the He family team to compete with WW. She would need ZH1's cooperation. He Xiong and the rest of the He family team members were glaring at Lin Yen coldly. This woman was trying to drag the He family team into the abyss. Many years ago, racketeering had been considered a tactic. However, as time passed, people looked down on racketeering. Even though it had become famous, it was merely a curse. Nowadays, racketeering had become a thing of the past. The last time a racketeering had happened in the capital city had been 2 years ago. A small team had tried to scam KO, one of the most prestigious teams in the capital city. However, it had attracted the wrath of the entire racing industry. Eventually, the sponsor had withdrawn, and the senior management had been fired. Due to the immense pressure from the public, the team had been disbanded. However, no one had expected that the He family team, which couldn't even be compared to the small team from 2 years ago, would encounter WW's elite team. Miss, the He family team is really shameless. A reporter stared at Lin Yen and sneered coldly. Even if the He family team had wanted to scam KO, they should have done it with a team of a similar level. They shouldn't have done it so blatantly. Instead, they had gone crazy trying to make a name for themselves. Everyone, actually, the old master, He Dinkuan, stepped forward, his forehead perspiring profusely. Actually, WW's team isn't that good. I don't think they are as good as us. Lin Yen grinned at him. He Dinkuan glanced at Lin Yen in displeasure. Did she know that what she had said today was enough to drag the He family team into the abyss and consign them to eternal damnation? Yes, this lady is absolutely right. Before He Dinkuan could reply, Old Tang strode over with a briefcase under his arm. Hello, everyone. I'm the boss of Old Tang's team. The He family team has competed with us 7 times this year and lost 6 times. We were lucky to win this time. With such a weak team, we are going to disband soon. Perhaps we might be able to come back from the dead if we try our luck before we die. After all, in this day and age, as long as there is popularity and fame, you can make money. Old Tang sneered coldly as he glanced at Lin Yen. It was this damned navigator from the He family. If it hadn't been for her, how could Old Tang's team have lost? He Dinkuan and He Xiong hadn't paid any attention to her, but he had been watching the silver car the entire time. He had even managed to obtain the recording of He Lifeng's car. Initially, he had found it strange that He Lifeng, who had been at the bottom of the pack, had performed so well and lifted the He family team up. However, after listening to the recording, he realized that it was all because of this girl. She was a professional navigator. Chapter 290. Although this girl didn't know how to drive a race car, her theoretical knowledge and professional navigator skills were incredible. If she hadn't been He Dingkuan's granddaughter, he would have tried to poach her to join Old Tang's team. Old Tang scrutinized Lin Yan from head to toe. Since he couldn't poach her, he would destroy her completely. Fortunately, this girl might be a good navigator, but there was something wrong with her brain. That was why she had tried to blackmail WW. If she hadn't tried to blackmail WW, he wouldn't have been able to think of a way to destroy the He family team. However, who would have thought that the He family team would be digging their own grave? He couldn't stop them at all. Old Tang didn't give the reporters a chance to ask any questions. He waved his hand and left without a second glance. He Xiong glowered at Lin Yan. That B** starred. She and her mother were bloodsuckers for the He family. Instead of bringing glory to their family, they wanted to destroy the He family. Everyone, please listen to me. This is a misunderstanding. He Xiong hurried forward. Misunderstanding? What's there to misunderstand? Your He family's team member has already spoken clearly. Exactly. Isn't she part of the He family team? This. He Xiong didn't know what to say. Lin Yan had indeed competed as a navigator of the He family team. Ha ha. Suddenly, the young man with the buzz cut sneered coldly at God Z. I didn't expect ZH1 to be in such a pathetic state. They didn't dare accept the challenge themselves, but they sent a small team to blackmail them. Before God Z could speak, the young man's eyes landed on Lin Yan. You don't have the right to compete with WW. We don't have the right? The corners of Lin Yan's mouth curled up as she glanced at God Z. If the He family team is ZH1's substitute team, then we should have the right. Everyone's eyes darted to God Z. God Z wasn't just the captain of ZH1. He was also one of the bosses. If God Z agreed, then the He family team would indeed have the right to represent ZH1. Of course, if the He family team lost, ZH1 would have to pay the same price. ZH1 wouldn't be able to participate in the third level of the international competition. God Z, is the He family team the second substitute team of ZH1? A reporter asked anxiously. God Z furrowed his brows in silence. Trust me. Lin Yan strode over to God Z and patted his shoulder gently. God Z's eyes met Lin Yan's. After some time, God Z seemed to have made an important decision. He glanced at the reporters and said, yes, today, ZH1 was in a dilemma. They couldn't accept the challenge, but they couldn't reject it either. If they accepted it, they would fail and miss out on the third level of the international competition. However, if they rejected it, they wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. However, if it was Lin Yan, perhaps there would be a chance of survival. He didn't want to gamble, but at this time, he had no choice but to gamble. As Legend Z's voice fell, the audience burst into an uproar. That's interesting. ZH1 is a prestigious team, yet they are helping a small team to scam WW. Are they trying to disgust us? The young man sneered coldly. Before he could retort, Lin Yan's eyes gleamed brightly as she said, so, the He family team will accept WW's challenge. Finally, the competition was decided. The reporters were in an uproar. Chapter 291. After the competition ended, Wei Shufeng and Qi Xiaoyuan walked out of the VIP hall. Ha ha ha. I won. Remember to give me boss's autographed photo. Qi Xiaoyuan exclaimed excitedly. There had been no suspense in this competition. In contrast to Qi Xiaoyuan's glee, Wei Shufeng's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. This is impossible. How could the He family have won? He Mingkai and He Lefeng aren't that capable. The rest of the team members are trash too. They couldn't have been of any help at all. He Lefeng would never have been able to replicate the Death Butcher's technique even if he trained for another 800 years. As for his shameless tactics, even if he wanted to play tricks and block the first two racers, He would have to be capable of doing so. You have to know that the skills of the two racers in first and second place are much better than He Lifeng's. How did he manage to stop both of them at the same time? How did he allow He Mingkai to clinch first place? Most of the cameras were focused on the seated racers. There were very few shots of the He family. He Mingkai had suddenly clinched the championship. This outcome had surprised both Wei Shufeng and everyone else. Now that He Mingkai had clinched the championship, all the fans and the media were curious. After the competition, the organizing committee and the organizers would definitely release a complete version of how He Mingkai had clinched the championship. Only then would they know how He Mingkai had clinched the championship. Qi Xiaoyuan almost blurted out as he listened to Wei Shufeng's analysis. Don't think too much about it. Yeva had merely helped the He family. Could the problem lie with He Lifeng's female navigator? Wei Shufeng muttered to himself. In this competition, the only uncertainty in the He family seemed to be He Lifeng's new navigator, the woman who resembled Boss. Qi Xiaoyuan was a little excited. Had this kid finally figured it out? Suddenly, Wei Shufeng's face darkened. That's impossible. That woman is probably just a pretty face. There was a bad phenomenon in the racing industry. Female racers were rare to begin with. Many racers hired a few beautiful female racers to hype up their teams. In reality, they weren't capable at all. Qi Xiaoyuan was completely speechless. Wei Shufeng, stop wasting time. Accept reality. If you really can't bear to part with that autographed photo, you can give me the necklace on your neck. I won't have any objections. As Qi Xiaoyuan spoke, his eyes sparkled as he stared at the round token hanging around Wei Shufeng's neck. Compared to the autographed photo, he was actually more interested in the necklace that Yeva had worn. It was all his fault that he had been one step slower than Wei Shufeng. He hadn't known that Boss would be attending the charity dinner that night. Otherwise, this fellow wouldn't have taken advantage of her. But it didn't matter. He was the only fan who had seen the Boss in person. Dream on. Wei Shufeng spat at Qi Xiaoyuan. Qi Xiaoyuan replied, Hey, Wei Shufeng, you have to admit that you lost the bet. Are you going to go back on your word? Wei Shufeng retorted, Nonsense. The He family is the one who is shameless. They must have used some dirty tricks. The two of them were quarreling as they walked, when they bumped into someone. Lin Yan removed her helmet when she saw that there was no one else around. She raised her head and saw two familiar figures walking out of the VIP hall. One of them was the staff member, while the other one was Wei Shufeng. Chapter 292. Boss. Qi Xiaoyuan almost blurted out the moment he saw Lin Yan. Fortunately, he managed to restrain himself in time. Wei Shufeng, who hadn't expected to see Lin Yan here, stared at her face in shock. Lin Yan? His eyes scanned Lin Yan's silver uniform and the He family logo on it. His face darkened. You're He Lifeng's navigator? Wei Shufeng had never imagined that He Lifeng's navigator, who resembled his boss, would be Lin Yan. Lin Yan's face fell when she saw Wei Shufeng. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road, ahem. Young Master Wei, what a coincidence. Lin Yan greeted him perfunctorily. Wei Shufeng studied Lin Yan's silver uniform and found it an eyesore. He sneered coldly and said, What a coincidence. Lin Yan. Are you stalking me again? Lin Yan replied, Huh? Didn't I warn you not to imitate Yeva just to get close to me? How dare a person like you race? How dare you wear that color? Wei Shufeng glared at Lin Yan as though he wanted to burn her clothes. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched as she replied helplessly, Young master, are you suffering from persecutory delusions? Are you trying to play hard to get with me? Tell me then. Why did you sneak into the He family's team? Wei Shufeng looked as though he had seen through her. Lin Yan raised an eyebrow. This team belongs to my grandfather. Is there a problem with me helping him? Wei Shufeng quipped, I didn't expect you to make use of your grandfather. Lin Yan was speechless. At this moment, Qi Shaoyuan was completely stunned as he listened to the conversation between the two of them. He finally recalled why Lin Yan had looked so familiar. Lin Yan. Could she be the actress who had been rumored to be with Wei Shufeng? So Boss was an actress in the entertainment industry? Wasn't Wei Shufeng filming with Lin Yan? They were acting as a couple. F***ck. Wei Shufeng, that rascal. What kind of luck did he have? She actually had a scandal with Boss. He could even act as a couple with Boss. At this thought, Qi Shaoyuan was so angry that he almost crushed his teeth. However, Wei Shufeng was a fool. He couldn't recognize Boss at all. This fake fan. Wei Shufeng whipped out his phone and bellowed, "Lin Yan, give up. I'm going to put that Weibo post on top right now. Please take a good look at it every day and recognize the truth. F***ck. Wei Shufeng, do you know who you are talking to?" Qi Shaoyuan couldn't hold it in any longer. Who is she? Tell me. Wei Shufeng glared at Qi Shaoyuan. She is. Just as he was about to say something, Lin Yan grinned and said, "Oh, you guys have discovered me. I'm the racetrack's Grim Reaper." The veins on Wei Shufeng's forehead throbbed. Lin Yan. If you dare to defile my goddess again, I'll make sure you suffer the consequences. Qi Shaoyuan looked as though he was looking at a retard. Wei Shufeng, she might really be. Before he could finish, Wei Shufeng spat at him. Qi Shaoyuan, are you out of your mind? Wei Shufeng snorted and strode away, as though he couldn't bear to look at Lin Yan any longer. Chapter 293. Lin Yan's lips curled into a smile, as though she had expected this. The more she said, the more Wei Shufeng doubted her. When Wei Shufeng was far away, Qi Shaoyuan scurried over to Lin Yan. "Boss, Wei Shufeng," Lin Yan gestured for him to keep quiet. "Remember to keep this a secret." Qi Shaoyuan nodded and replied obediently, "Yes, I will. Don't worry, boss." Satisfied, Lin Yan left with a smile. After Lin Yan left, Qi Shaoyuan stared at his goddess's back for some time before he felt satisfied. Suddenly, Qi Shaoyuan recalled Wei Shufeng's words. Wei Shufeng had mentioned a Weibo post. What was it? Out of curiosity, Qi Shaoyuan clicked on the post and read its contents. Unless he was blind, Wei Shufeng would fall for her. Qi Shaoyuan was speechless. Right now, Qi Shaoyuan's jealousy of Wei Shufeng had turned into deep sympathy. He wondered how Wei Shufeng would feel when he found out the truth. In the preparation room, the He family team and ZH1 team were all there, looking solemn and solemn. Lin Yan had changed out of her uniform and entered the room. "Lin Yan, you jinx. Are you going to destroy the He family? I'm going to teach you a lesson today." He Xiong flew into a rage when he saw Lin Yan. He was about to slap her when he spoke. However, before he could get close, a hand grabbed his wrist tightly. Pei Yutong had entered the room. "Mr. He, it's not good to hit a girl. F***ck. How dare he hit his sister-in-law?" He Xiong's expression softened when he saw Pei Yutong. "Young Master Pei, as you can see, Mingkai worked so hard to clinch first place. We didn't let you down. Who would have thought that this lass would ruin everything? She clearly wants to destroy the He family." Pei Yutong pursed his lips. Since when had he had any expectations of He Mingkai? If he had known, he wouldn't have stopped him. If big sister-in-law had hit him, he would have been paralyzed. He Lufeng was infuriated when he heard He Xiong's words. What did he mean by working so hard to clinch first place? It was obvious that he had relied on Sister Yan's divine assistance to get him first place. However, he had said it 800 times, but no one believed him. He Dinkuan, who was seated next to Lin Yan, looked unusually solemn. "This isn't the entertainment industry. Xiaoyan, you were too rash this time." He Xiong glared at Lin Yan and bellowed, "It's one thing for you to embarrass yourself outside and ruin the reputation of your family. How dare you bring your dirty tricks over here? Our He family's team used to be so prestigious in the country. Now, we have to resort to such lowly means to scam others. Even if we manage to get sponsors, our reputation will be ruined. How are we going to maintain our foothold in the industry? We will be humiliated by you. Enough. He Dinkuan interrupted He Xiong and glanced at God Zi. He Dinkuan's expression was solemn and conflicted. It was one thing for Lin Yen to mess around, but he had never imagined that God Zi would agree with her. He Dinkuan replied, since it has already happened, we should think of a solution. Almighty Zi, I'm sorry for implicating your team. Chapter 294. God Zi shook his head. There's nothing to worry about. This is a decision that I made after careful consideration. He Dinkuan, He Xiong, and the others glanced at each other. Was God Zi really that confident in Mingkai? God Zi glanced at Lin Yen discreetly and said, I have faith in the He family team. He Xiong looked as though he had been injected with adrenaline. His face flushed red as he replied, I didn't expect God Zi to think so highly of Mingkai. Don't worry, Mingkai will do his best just because of what you said. He Mingkai was elated that God Zi had praised him in front of everyone. Besides, he had turned the tide and won first place. His confidence was off the charts. God Zi, I won't let you down. God Zi was speechless, Pei Yutong was speechless. God Zi and Pei Yutong glanced at each other, their expressions indescribable. God Zi noticed that Lin Yen hadn't said anything, so he didn't continue. Forget it. The organizing committee and organizers would definitely release a more detailed video of the competition. Then, they would know who He Mingkai had relied on to win the competition. Since Lin Yen had made a promise, it meant that she would compete personally. It was impossible for ZH1 to defeat WW. He could only trust Lin Yen and take the risk. Actually, Lin Yen was glad that she had been banned from the international competition. She wouldn't be able to participate in any of the competitions. Fortunately, this was just a qualifier, so she would be able to compete. The busy day had finally come to an end. Lin Yen left through the back door and got into Pei Yutong's car. This is so annoying. I thought that I could compete with big sister-in-law today. Pei Yutong looked regretful as he said excitedly, but Sister Yen, why did you become He Lefeng's navigator? An ADC who can win an MVP award has to be an assistant for a useless fellow? That's such a waste of talent. Actually, it had been a little risky. On one hand, her grandfather wouldn't allow her to compete as a racer. On the other hand, this was a rally race, so it would be too exhausting. Given the state of her left leg, she wouldn't be able to compete. Lin Yen didn't explain. She noticed that Pei Yutong had addressed her as big sister-in-law again. She had a complicated expression on her face as she coughed gently and asked, how's your brother? Pei Yutong frowned. I did a series of complicated checkups. She's stable for now, but, Lin Yen asked, but what? Stability is only temporary. My brother's current condition is like a 1,000-kilogram rock hanging on a strand of hair. It's very tricky. Moreover, my brother fainted again last night. Lin Yan's face stiffened. You fainted last night? Why didn't you say so earlier? How is he now? Pei Yutong replied, she's fine now. Actually, this has happened many times before. She always fainted without warning. I don't know if it's a side effect of her worsening condition. Lin Yen mulled it over. Your big brother. What kind of illness does he have? Pei Yutong's eyes darted around as he replied, my big brother's body has always been weak. Now, it's difficult for him to even stand up. He doesn't show it usually, so he's just putting up a strong front. He can't be agitated anymore. Especially when it comes from emotional stimulation. Chapter 295. Sister Yen, you've gotten back together with Big Brother. Big Brother is much better now. Pei Yutong glanced at Lin Yen nervously. Big sister-in-law, Are you sure you've gotten back together with Big Brother? You won't break up with him again, right? Lin Yan was speechless. Actually, she had wanted to explain things to Pei Yucheng. She would let him decide if he wanted to break up or not. However, after listening to Pei Yucheng's body was so weak. How could she dare to provoke him? It seemed like she could only lie to him, big sister-in-law. In the end, Lin Yan replied, yes, yes, yes. We've gotten back together. Didn't you hear it the other day? Pei Yutong heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Lin Yan. That's good. That's good. Oh yeah, Big Brother asked me to tell you that he has to go to Country M in a few days, Pei Yutong replied. Lin Yan frowned. Is your Big Brother all right? He's going to travel so far? Pei Yutong replied, don't worry. You're gentle, considerate, and kind. You've coaxed my Big Brother. His health is stable for now. Lin Yan glanced at him. Didn't you say that your Big Brother's health is like a huge rock hanging on a strand of hair? Pei Yutong replied, as long as you don't break up with my Big Brother, that strand of hair isn't a strand of hair. It's a stabilizing force. Lin Yan was speechless. What if * King stabilizing force? However, why hadn't Pei Yucheng called her directly? Why had he asked Pei Yutong to pass the message to her? She had thought that Pei Yucheng's true colors were as Pei Yutong had said. She had thought that he was a strict and manipulative person. After they had fallen out, he would definitely stop pretending. However, Pei Yucheng seemed to have reverted to the way he had been when she had first met him. He would always maintain a comfortable distance from her. She couldn't tell which one was the real him. Although she couldn't figure out Pei Yucheng's attitude, Lin Yan heaved a sigh of relief. She really didn't know how to face him after what had just happened. In the hall, Pei Yutong and the ZH1 members had left. Not long after, the He clan slowly walked in. All the members of the He family looked displeased as they avoided Lin Yan. It was as though walking with Lin Yan was a disgrace to them. Initially, Ming Kai had led us to victory in this competition. This would have been a great honor for our team. However, because of a woman who doesn't know anything, our team has been humiliated. One of the members of the He family team glared at Lin Yan as she entered the hall and hissed at her without a care in the world. Sir, I can't stay here any longer. I'm sorry, but I want to leave. A middle-parted young man walked over to He Dingkuan's side and spoke with a dark expression. He Dingkuan was taken aback. His gaze landed on the young man and he frowned. Wang Liao, what's wrong? Old master, I know that Lin Yan is your granddaughter, but how could you allow someone like her to cause trouble in our team? Wang Liao glanced at Lin Yan and said coldly, Ming Kai led us to victory against Old Tang's team today. We were in a good mood, but your granddaughter. Chapter 296. Before Wang Liao could finish, another young man interrupted him. Old master, Wang Liao is right. Your granddaughter doesn't know anything. She might not be able to handle the speed of the car, but she couldn't have stopped He Lifeng on the track. If it hadn't been for Ming Kai, the He family team would have become a joke today. Both of you, we have already become a joke. So what if we won? How dare she provoke the MW team in front of so many reporters? Who does she think she is? Does she really think that she is a professional navigator? Or a professional racer? She has already caused us so much trouble during this competition. She has almost humiliated us. How could she be so ignorant? He Lifeng wanted to say something, but in the end, he sighed. It didn't seem like he had the right to speak. Dad, if it hadn't been for Ming Kai, how would we have ended up? I have seen through her. She is even more vicious than her mother. He Xiong hissed coldly. All right. He Dingkuan frowned as he glanced at He Xiong. Her mother is your biological sister. She is your niece. Niece? He Xiong sneered coldly. Dad, I don't have the good fortune to have a niece who only knows how to harm her own people. He Dingkuan sighed heavily as his eyes trailed to Lin Yan. Xiaoyan, you can go back now. Lin Yan nodded expressionlessly and turned to leave without a word. Mingkai, we are lucky to have you today. Otherwise, our team would have been destroyed by that jinx. He Xiong glanced at He Mingkai. Dad, it's better to sever ties with her. She doesn't have any abilities, but she is good at harming her family. He Mingkai was expressionless. However, before He Mingkai could say anything else, the commentator's voice came from the television in the hall. The commentator said, "All right, the competition has ended. However, we have discovered some strange footage and recordings of the He family team. No, to be precise, it is about He Lefeng's navigator." All the members of the He family team turned to look at the screen at the same time. Lin Yan's voice was heard on the screen. Lin Yan replied, "Overtake him." He Lefeng replied, "How?" Lin Yan replied, "Drive close to the mountain and turn right 90 degrees. In the next second, a close-up shot appeared on the television and was presented in slow motion. All the members of the He family watched as He Lefeng's silver car sped up at a tricky angle and overtook Old Tang's team in an instant. The moment the silver race car overtook them, the front of the car tilted and swung violently, drifting 40 meters toward the mountain. When the curve ended, the silver race car returned to its original position and drove straight ahead. In the blink of an eye, the race car behind them had disappeared. This side horizontal drift. This is side horizontal drift? Everyone's eyes landed on He Lefeng, who hadn't said a word. Even He Dingkuan's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. This must be a coincidence. Wang Liao glanced at He Lefeng expressionlessly. Before He Lefeng could respond, Lin Yan's voice rang out once more. The road widens. Increase your speed. Travel 120 meters and jump. Use fourth gear to make a left turn. Step on the accelerator. Chapter 297. Shift to fifth gear, turn left, jump, travel 80 meters, turn right in fourth gear, turn left in fourth gear, and maintain a straight line. The road widens, accelerate, travel 120 meters, jump, turn left in fourth gear, and accelerate halfway. This is a professional navigator's guide? One of the He family team members exclaimed in shock. It's a temporary guide. Someone else exclaimed in disbelief. The so-called temporary road map was not a map that had been memorized. Instead, it was based on the terrain at that time, the road conditions at that time, and everything that might happen at that time. However, even a professional navigator would not be able to do this. Whose navigator is that? I think it's He Lefeng's. It's that woman? How is that possible? It can't be her. Everyone in the He family team widened their eyes in disbelief. Break. Lin Yan's voice was heard again. Sister Yan, what's wrong? Just wait here. Huh? You're not running anymore? Don't talk. Listen to me. The He family team was dumbfounded by what they saw on the screen. The silver car, which had stopped after the first lap, suddenly dashed out and blocked the cars of the first and second members of Old Tang's team, who had just finished the third lap. Under Lin Yan's precise judgment and command, no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't overtake He Lefeng's silver car. Lin Yan's voice rang out again as everyone was still in shock. Turn on the radio and adjust the channel. Tell Grandpa to let He Mingkai overtake us from the right after he catches up. He has to be fast. Before the He family members could say anything, He Mingkai, who had originally been in third place, finally caught up with them. He Lefeng's silver car gave He Mingkai space to overtake. He Mingkai overtook the other car successfully. Before long, the He family's cars entered their field of vision one after another. He Lefeng's silver car released every single one of them. When he released them, he cleverly blocked Old Tang's car. At the time, the He family team had been driving, so they hadn't noticed anything. However, after watching the close-up footage, especially in slow motion, they could see everything clearly. My car is also a scam. Wang Liao stared at the TV screen in disbelief, at the car that was being let go by the silver car at the front. That car was the one he was driving. This. He Dinkuan sprang to his feet in shock. He Xiong's expression was so gloomy that it seemed as if it could drip water. Beside him, He Mingkai's expression also gradually turned ugly. Retreat. Lin Yan's voice echoed. To the right, reverse. Sister Yan, what do you mean? Can you tell me? He Mingkai's tires are about to burst. He Mingkai's car had a flat tire with a loud bang. Ram He Mingkai's car. Lin Yan's voice rang out again. All the members of the He family in the hall were dead silent. Their faces were filled with disbelief. He Mingkai, who had been so proud of himself and thought of himself as a meritorious person, had his expression completely frozen. This was impossible. Chapter 298. At that moment, there was a video that revealed the truth. He Lufeng could finally hold his head high after feeling aggrieved for so long. He rose to his feet and glanced at the dumbfounded crowd. Suddenly, he sneered coldly. All of you, stop pretending. If it hadn't been for Sister Yan, would you have reached the finish line and won the race? Dream on. At that moment, He Lufeng finally vented the pent-up frustration in his chest. Meanwhile, the commentator said excitedly, after discovering this, I was also very curious and surprised. It's rare. To think that there would be such a unique navigator in our country. It could be said that she single-handedly led the He family team to the finish line and won, F***CK. This woman, is that good? I've never seen such a good navigator in our country. How is that possible? Didn't she know nothing? All the members of the He family team stared at each other in disbelief. One of them recalled what Lin Yan had said before the race and exclaimed, oh yeah, I remember that when she checked Mingkai's car, she said that there was a problem with Mingkai's tires. I didn't expect it to be true. Yeah, if she hadn't asked He Lufeng to deliberately crash into the car, our efforts would have been in vain because of such a low-level mistake. It could be said that Lin Yan had been the one who had single-handedly pushed He Mingkai to the top spot with her accurate judgment. In the blink of an eye, everyone looked at He Mingkai with a strange look of worship in their eyes. They had thought that He Mingkai had performed exceptionally well. Who would have thought that this was the truth? He Mingkai's eyes were glued to the screen. When he heard the commentators say that she single-handedly led the He family team to the finish line, his face turned ugly. Damn it! How dare they say that he had relied on a woman to win? At this moment, He Xiong's expression was a little suspicious. How did this girl know about these things? He remembered that this lass had been close to fourth sister when she had been alive. She must have learned all this from her. He Xiong snorted coldly. I really couldn't tell that the girl was a good navigator. But so what? Can a navigator compare to a racer? If we lose, we'll become the laughingstock of the industry. Without giving anyone a chance to speak, He Xiong continued, even if she's a navigator, who does she think she is? Does she think she's a professional racer? A racer who could compete with Team 2W? No matter how good her navigational skills are, it's impossible for her to sit in the driver's seat, and it's even more impossible for her to outrun any of the members. He Mingkai's gloomy face softened a little when he heard his father's words. My father is right. She wouldn't be able to outrun even the members of the He family, let alone the WW team. Hearing the father and son's words, the other team members also nodded. That was true. After all, racing required actual combat and control. No matter how good an armchair strategist was, he could only be a navigator, Yi Xiong said condescendingly. However, that girl's navigational skills are quite good. We can ask her to assist Mingkai later. She's barely qualified. Chapter 299. He Xiong glanced at He Mingkai. He Mingkai coughed softly and replied haughtily, you can let her try. He Lufeng frowned when he heard this. As a navigator, Sister Yan's expertise might not be as good as the navigators of the top teams in the country, but she should be on par with them. However, the two of them looked as though they were in a difficult position. It was as though they were trying to take advantage of her. He Dinkuan pondered for a moment before he replied, Xiaoyan's navigational skills should be considered professional. If she were to be paired with Mingkai, it would not be too bad. Yeah. One of the He family team members nodded and grinned. Miss Lin Yan is definitely the best navigator in our family. She would be the best navigator in Mingkai's team. What do you guys think of Lin Yan? One of the He family team members glanced at the other navigators. She's all right. She might not be the best, but she's passable. Actually, Lin Yan did contribute a lot to our victory. However, Lin Yan was also opportunistic. She isn't the best navigator, but if she was paired with Mingkai, I don't think it would be a problem. Qingli, what do you think? He Mingkai's eyes landed on a young man. You're the most professional navigator in our family. Why don't you give your assessment? Hearing this, Qingli smiled. Not bad, I guess. Unexpected and smart. However, although Lu Shu is very professional, he must have memorized everything in advance. Although he can't be described as top-notch, he is still considered to have good combat power. In that case, Qingli, guide Lin Yan and let her learn from you, said He Xiong. I don't have a habit of accepting disciples. Qingli was taken aback. However, since Uncle He Xiong has spoken, it wouldn't be right for me to disagree. However, I'm very strict. I think it's better to ask for Sister Yan's opinion first. He Lufeng frowned. Although they sounded as though they were serious, he had been following them the entire time. He knew Sister Yan better than anyone else. Qingli could barely be considered an intermediate navigator. How could he make things difficult for Sister Yan to be his disciple? He Xiong looked as though Lin Yan had taken advantage of him as he replied disdainfully, what can she say? Mingkai is the best racer in the He family and carries all the hopes of the He family. It's her honor to be his navigator. Plus, Qingli is the most capable navigator in the He family. Wouldn't she be grateful if Qingli were to be her master and teach her for free? Yeah. Even ZH1's captain, God Z, thinks highly of Mingkai and made Lin Yan his navigator. This shows how much we value Lin Yan. He Dinkuan paused for a moment before he interrupted He Xiong and the others. I'll find a time to discuss this with Xiaoyan. At the same time, in a high-class villa on the outskirts of the imperial capital, Wei Shufeng was having dinner with a group of friends. Qi Xiaoyuan was there too. Many of Wei Shufeng's friends were racing enthusiasts, just like him. In the spacious and luxurious living room, there was a huge LCD screen that was playing the news of the competition. It was about the He family's competition that afternoon. Chapter 300. The commentator's excited voice could be heard from the TV. That day's competition hadn't attracted much attention, as it had been a low-level competition. However, after the match had been announced, it had garnered a lot of attention and popularity. Coupled with the explosive news of 20W's challenge to ZHI, it had been pushed to a new height. Spending the rest of my life with you is sweet and warm. I'm in the middle of typing. Please wait a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 301. Qi Xiaoyuan snatched his phone away. You're the one who's crazy. Give me back my phone. He clicked the enter button and sent the comment over. Then, he continued to comment and like Lin Yan's Weibo posts. Qi Xiaoyuan's incongruous praise was mixed in with the scolding. He stood out like a crane among a flock of chickens and was extremely eye-catching. How dare you chase after a celebrity? Of all the celebrities you could chase, why would you chase such a woman? Are you out of your mind? Wei Shufeng looked incredulous. Qi Xiaoyuan glanced at Wei Shufeng as though he had seen through everything. What do you know? Qi Xiaoyuan glanced at Wei Shufeng as though he could see through everything. What do you know? From today onward, I'll be Sister Yan's loyal fan. I won't allow you to insult my fairy sister. I won't allow you to insult my fairy sister. She was just imitating others and making a fool of herself. Are you blind? How dare you say that you're boss's fan? I think you're a fake fan. Wei Shufeng retorted. Qi Xiaoyuan was exasperated. The corners of his mouth twitched as he bellowed, "You're the one who's blind. You're the fake fan." He was the blind one, yet he had the audacity to call him a blind man? Wei Shufeng looked at him in disdain. A fake is a fake. No matter how much we resemble each other, would never betray boss. That woman made such a ridiculous claim. I want to see if she would have the guts to fight. Qi Xiaoyuan chuckled. That night, Lin Yan was browsing Weibo on her computer when she received a series of calls from Duo. Sister Yan. What did you do this time? Duoduo's agitated voice rang through the phone. Lin Yan blinked innocently. What did I do? Check Wei Shufeng's Weibo yourself. Huh? Wei Shufeng? Lin Yan clicked on Wei Shufeng's Weibo suspiciously. Wei Shufeng's Weibo page had been pinned to the top of the page. It was the post that he had said that he would only fall for her if he was blind. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched as she recalled what Wei Shufeng had said to her earlier. Was this fellow a primary school student? He actually pinned that Weibo post at the top. He would post something on Weibo after a little provocation. Forget it. Since he's my fan, I won't argue with this guy anymore. Sigh, she really spoiled her fans too much. On the other end of the line, Duo was on the verge of tears. The photo of you talking to Han Yishuan has already attracted a lot of criticism. At this critical juncture, Wei Shufeng suddenly did something like this. It's like adding fuel to the fire. That photo was obviously twisted to defame you. Wei Shufeng is even more unreasonable. He was the one who took the initiative to stick to you. Others might not know this, but he knows it very well. What's the meaning of his actions? The corners of Lin Yan's mouth curled up when she heard Duo. This girl probably didn't even realize that her attitude had begun to favor him. Calm down, calm down. Just hang in there for a few days. Anyway, I don't have many scenes, and I'll be done soon. In the future, I will never join such a deadly production. Lin Yan consoled him. Duo, don't lie to me. If I give you more money, what kind of production would you not dare to join? Lin Yan muttered, she hadn't expected that Duo would understand her so well even though they had only known each other for a short period of time. Actually, she was speaking from the bottom of her heart. It wasn't because she was afraid of being attacked by her haters. She wasn't afraid of millions of them. Chapter 302. In the next few days, Lin Yan's schedule was packed to the brim. She had no time to rest. Her grandfather had called her once to discuss the competition with WW next month. Lin Yan planned to finish her work before heading to her grandfather's place to discuss the competition. She had also seen the video and audio reports of the race. Although her ability as a navigator had been acknowledged, in the eyes of the public, theoretical experience did not equate to actual combat ability. A navigator and a racer were two completely different fields. If she wanted to race directly, she would have to spend some time to discuss it with her grandfather. On the other hand, the filming went smoothly. Lin Yan was very good at playing the role of an emotionless money-making machine. Although Wei Shufeng still despised her, he was still very professional. He even managed to portray his feelings of love and hate for Lin Pianruo vividly. In the blink of an eye, Lin Yan was only left with one scene. She would be filming with Pei Nanshu. Pei Nanshu was rehearsing with Jiang Sifei while Lin Yan, who was done with her makeup, waited in the waiting area. The filming location for today's scene was in a scenic area in the suburbs. The environment was quiet and the scenery was pleasant. Lin Yan lay on a chair as she watched Pei Nanshu. She couldn't help but feel nervous. After all, this was the first time she would be acting with her idol. Duo glanced at Lin Yan in surprise, thinking that it was rare for Lin Yan to feel nervous. After filming for so many days, she had been nonchalant about it, no matter who she had to work with. Her scenes with Wei Shufeng had been completed smoothly. However, it wasn't strange. Lin Yan was Pei Nanxiu's fan after all, so she was probably excited. Sister Yan, you might be excited later, but you have to control yourself. Don't do anything that you shouldn't. Duo couldn't help but remind her. In order to get into character and act like a domineering president, Lin Yan replayed Pei Yucheng's video on her phone. Don't worry, I cherish my life. Besides, she wouldn't dare to do that. Duo caught a glimpse of Lin Yan's phone and realized that she had been watching the same video. It seemed to be the same man. Although it was just a hasty glance, she could tell from his side profile that he was a very handsome man. Duo's expression turned wary as she probed, Sister Yan, what are you looking at so secretively? I've been looking at it for half a day. Lin Yan raised an eyebrow when she heard him. She stroked her chin and chuckled softly. I'm watching your video. Why? It's fine if I can't flirt with you, but can't I look at you? The corners of Duo's mouth twitched. Suddenly, she saw the back view of a naked man standing by the pool. Her face darkened. You. Why are you watching such a restricted video in broad daylight? Can't you restrain yourself a little? Lin Yan quipped, why should I restrain myself? I'm looking at my boyfriend. So what if he's a little restrictive? Speaking of which, Pei Yucheng had been abroad for a week. She hadn't contacted him at all. Pei Yucheng hadn't taken the initiative to call her. He hadn't even sent her a text. Lin Yan, who was an idiot when it came to relationships, didn't know what to say. Both of them had been communicating through Pei Yutong or Pei Nanxiu. Chapter 303. Hence, the two of them continued to interact in a strange manner. It was as though Pei Yucheng, who had lost control of himself, had been a dream. She had been worried that Pei Yucheng would control her too much now that they had fallen out. However, it seemed like her worries had been in vain. Lin Yan was talking to Duo when she heard the sound of a cut. Pei Nanxiu and Jiang Sifei had finished filming. Director Jiang Yiming chatted with Pei Nanxiu and Jiang Sifei for a while before he walked over to Lin Yan. Lin Yan, how are your preparations? Jiang Yiming asked with concern. Lin Yan scrambled to her feet and replied, ahem. I'm fine, actually, she wasn't very confident. After all, it was hard to paint a tiger's bones. She had been able to rely on her brain for the previous scenes, but today, she had to compete with Pei Nanxiu. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to handle it. However, Jiang Yiming seemed to be very confident in her. He grinned and said, Lin Yan, don't be nervous. Just perform as you normally would. Your audition was perfect. Trust me, you're the most suitable candidate to play Lin Pianruo. Just based on your performance that day, it will be enough. I'm afraid that even Nanxiu won't be able to suppress your aura. Lin Yan felt even more guilty when she heard director Jiang mention the audition. She hadn't been sober during the audition that day. Pei Nanxiu walked over with a smile. Miss Lin, I watched the audition that day. You did a great job. I'm looking forward to your scenes with me. Lin Yan was overwhelmed by Pei Nanxiu's compliment. Ahem. Mr. Pei, you flatter me. I did perform exceptionally well, haha. Lin Yan, don't be so humble. Your performance wasn't something that could have been achieved simply by outperforming yourself. You had to be really good at acting to pull it off. Alright. If there are no more questions, shall we start now? Jiang Yiming said eagerly. Lin Yan was speechless. She had no choice but to give it a try. She had been cramming for a long time. Perhaps she could really unleash her potential? Jiang Yiming informed all the crew to get ready and filming officially began. Today's scene was the one during Lin Yan's audition. The male lead, Chen Jing, had suffered a setback and was unable to recover. Lin Pianruo, who was Chen Jing's nemesis, had gone to the hospital to negotiate with him. The only difference was that Pei Nanxiu was the real person. The scene was set in a ward in a sanatorium, and the male lead was lying on a bed. 3, 2, 1. Action. Start. Jiang Yiming shouted. The lights and cameras were in place. Pei Nanxiu, who was playing the role of the male lead, was lying on the hospital bed. The makeup artist had made Pei Nanxiu look pale and weak. There was a faint stubble on his chin, which made him look completely different from his usual strict and slovenly appearance. Even so, Pei Nanxiu was still very charming in the camera. He even had a decadent sense of beauty. Chen Jing had never been defeated in his life. This was the first time in his life that he had failed. He stayed in the sanatorium and cut off all contact with the outside world. For half a month, he refused to see anyone except his girlfriend. On this day, an uninvited guest came to the sanatorium. It was Lin Pianruo. Lin Yan, who was wearing a black suit and a pair of large sunglasses, pushed the door open. Chapter 304. When he saw Lin Pianruo, Chen Jing, who was staring out the window in a daze, changed his aura instantly. A moment ago, Pei Nanxiu had been completely harmless and non-threatening. However, the moment Lin Pianruo appeared, his aura exploded. The business tycoon, the ruthless man, was back. Lin Yan sucked in a breath of cold air when she saw his sudden, piercing gaze. No wonder he was a national treasure, his performance was amazing. He was usually such a gentle person, yet he didn't look like himself at all. He was simply praising his idol's acting skills. Lin Yan hastily snapped out of her fandom and ignored Chen Jing's unfriendly gaze. She walked to the chair beside the bed and sat down. Chen Jing narrowed his eyes as he stared at his nemesis. President Lin, please excuse me for not welcoming you earlier. Chen Jing's expression didn't change at all, but the oppressive aura he exuded made all the staff feel pressured, let alone Lin Yan, who was sitting next to him. Lin Yan had to focus all her attention to withstand the pressure. She forced herself to say, President Chen, this is just a small setback. Are you going to collapse after this setback? Jiang Yiming, who was watching the camera intently, looked startled. Something wasn't right, although her expression and tone seemed right. Lin Yan's aura had been completely suppressed. This was completely different from what he had imagined. Although Pei Nanxiu's face was pale and he was dressed in a hospital gown, he didn't look as dignified as he used to be. However, a casual glance from him made one feel as though he was still the invincible Chen Jing. He looked at Lin Yan as though she was a clown who was adding insult to injury. Even though a dragon had fallen into the shallows, it was still a dragon. Lin Yan was deeply shocked by Pei Nanxiu's portrayal of Chen Jing. Lin Yan replied, working with me is your only choice. Jiang Yiming shook his head. Cut. Stop. You can't do it this time. Let's do it again. Lin Yan heaved a sigh of relief. She knew that her acting wasn't up to par. Jiang Yiming strode over to Lin Yan with a complicated expression on his face. Lin Yan, what's wrong? Are you in a bad mood today? Pei Nanxiu replied, actually, Miss Lin's acting wasn't bad. Jiang Yiming nodded and quipped, I'm not saying that Lin Yan didn't act well. On the contrary. Lin Yan, for a non-professional actress like you, you did very well. However, that's not all. You can do better. Do you understand? Lin Yan didn't know how to reply. How did she act when she lost consciousness? Is he really that good at acting? Pei Nanxiu replied politely, it's all right. We can try a few more times. Jiang Yiming glanced at Lin Yan and explained to her, there aren't many lines in this scene. The focus is on you and your aura. You have to know that Lin Pianruo is Chen Jing's only rival. How could she lose to Chen Jing's aura? Although I can get Nanxiu to reign in his aura and cooperate with you, if I do that, the standard of the entire scene will drop. Hence, the only way is for you to keep up with Nanshu. For example, your first line wasn't right. It seemed as though you were gloating over someone else's misfortune. During the second line, you were completely overwhelmed by Nanshu's aura. How are you going to convince the audience that you can make Chen Jing agree to work with you just because of one line and one look? Chapter 305. Lin Yan listened attentively to Jiang Yiming. I understand now, however, how could she achieve that in a short period of time? Pei Nanshu was an award-winning actor. Given his acting skills and aura, no one in the entire entertainment industry could surpass him in terms of aura. Now, it was almost impossible for a non-professional actress like her, who had just learned her acting skills, to suppress his aura. However, Jiang Yiming sounded very satisfied with her performance at the audition. If it hadn't been for the comparison, Jiang Yiming might have let her go. However, perhaps because of the comparison, Jiang Yiming had high expectations of her. All right, it's fine. Let's do it again, Jiang Yiming comforted her. Lin Yan nodded and inhaled deeply. Okay. This time, Lin Yan tried her best to get rid of Pei Nanshu's interference so that she wouldn't be affected by his aura. President Lin, thank you for coming. Sorry for not welcoming you. Pei Nanshu didn't sound angry because Lin Pianruo had come knocking on his door. Instead, he sounded extremely calm. However, his natural arrogance made Lin Pianruo seem like an insignificant person. President Chen, it's just a small setback. Are you going to collapse? Lin Yan repeated herself. Jiang Yiming shouted once more. Lin Yan. Where's your aura? It's worse than the last time. Remember, you can't be suppressed by Nanshu. Don't be suppressed by him, understand? Lin Yan was on the verge of tears. Director Jiang, I didn't want this to happen. But please, it's Pei Nanshu. He's the only actor in the entertainment industry who has won the Grand Slam. He's the best actor ever. Based on Mr. Pei's acting skills, not to mention the entire entertainment industry, even the big bosses in the business world wouldn't be able to surpass him. She could only blame her idol for being too impressive. No, there was someone who could definitely suppress him. Pei Yucheng. Pei Nanshu couldn't help but chuckle when he heard Lin Yan. Miss Lin, you flatter me. Jiang Yiming agreed with Lin Yan. Lin Yan, I know. Of course, I know. That's why I was worried when I chose the role of Lin Pianruo. Fortunately, I discovered you. As long as you perform as you did at the audition. Even if it's only half of your usual standard, it will be enough. You need to find the right state. Lin Yan was speechless. Another audition. F***CK. What the hell was the other consciousness in her? Was it really that powerful? Lin Yan, I believe in you. You can do it. Let's do it again. Jiang Yiming was still confident in her. All right. Hence, Lin Yan had no choice but to continue. However, for the next few times, Jiang Yiming was still not satisfied. After a few takes, Lin Yan felt as though she had been drained. However, Jiang Yiming kept saying that her aura wasn't strong enough. No, I can't. Forget it. Let's rest for a while. Lin Yan, you have to get into the right state. Jiang Yiming's expression was grim. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. In the end, Lin Yan collapsed on the chair. I feel like my body has been emptied. Pei Nanshu sat down beside Lin Yan. Take it slow. Don't rush. You're a newcomer, so it's good that you've done so well. However, Director Jiang has high expectations for you. Lin Yan sighed. I know. She then glanced at Pei Nanshu. Mr. Pei, did I really act well during the audition? Chapter 306. Pei Nanshu pondered for a moment. How should I put it? Your acting can't even be described as acting anymore. You didn't seem to be acting at all. It was as though you were the person you were portraying. Besides, Lin Yan asked, besides what? Pei Nanshu quipped, besides, your aura was very similar to my brother's. You had such an exciting audition. No wonder Director Jiang was so strict with you. Really? Lin Yan was shocked. Although she had been using Pei Yucheng's videos as a blueprint, she had only been acting. No matter how good she had been, she couldn't have imitated Pei Yucheng's aura. Lin Yan was still in shock when her phone rang. It was a new WeChat message. Lin Yan's eyes widened when she saw who it was. Pei Yucheng. They hadn't contacted each other for a week, yet Pei Yucheng had sent her a message. Pei Yucheng asked, "What's wrong?" "Whose message?" Lin Yan coughed softly and whispered, "Your brother." Pei Nanshu chuckled softly. "My brother actually sent you a message?" Lin Yan asked, "What's wrong? Is it strange?" As a couple, wouldn't it be strange if they hadn't sent each other a message? Nothing. Pei Nanshu coughed softly and stopped talking. Lin Yan clicked on the WeChat message and read its contents. Pei Yucheng typed, "Tasteless and sleepless." Tasteless and sleepless? Lin Yan was speechless. Lin Yan frowned as she stared at Pei Yucheng's sudden message. What did it mean? Was Pei Yucheng's health deteriorating again? She knew it. How could he travel such a long distance in such a condition? Pei Nanshu, who noticed Lin Yan's expression, hurriedly asked, "What's wrong? What did my brother say?" Lin Yan showed her phone to Pei Nanshu worriedly. "Look at your brother's message. Did his condition worsen?" Pei Nanshu's expression changed when he heard that. Then, he read the message. Tasteless and sleepless? Logically speaking, given his brother's character, he wouldn't tell Lin Yan such a thing. Lin Yan was about to send him a message when she received another message. Lin Yan scrolled through it hastily and saw that he had sent another message. "Miss Lin, I'm falling ill from missing you." Lin Yan was speechless, Nanshu was speechless, an awkward silence filled the air. Lin Yan's cheeks heated up uncontrollably. Pei Nanshu coughed softly and averted his eyes. Previously, when Pei Yutong had been complaining to him about how agitated he was, he hadn't felt anything. Today, however, he could feel it deeply. Was it popular to lure the dog in before killing it? This dog food was simply unexpected. Lin Yan blushed furiously. This man. She hadn't contacted him for a whole week. Now that they had, it was so exciting. Can't you consider the endurance of my heart? Pei Nanshu didn't want Lin Yan to feel awkward, so he left and walked to the other side. Lin Yan glanced awkwardly at Pei Nanshu and hid her phone in a corner like a thief. Her heart raced as she read Pei Yucheng's message. F***CK. Indeed, beauty was a source of trouble. How was she supposed to calm down and act later? I've been away for training these 2 days, so my update schedule isn't stable. Sorry for the wait. Upload the first 5 chapters first. I'll continue writing. Chapter 307. This man looked so gentlemanly and abstinent, but when he said words of love, it was simply killing her. A simple, "I miss you," could be said in such a seductive manner. However, Pei Yucheng's words, which could make Lin Yan drown in love with him, softened her heart and softened it. How was she going to reply? Lin Yan racked her brains, but she couldn't think of anything. She had no choice but to turn to the netizens for help. How should I reply to my boyfriend's message? How do I make my boyfriend happy? Lin Yan, get ready. The next scene is about to begin. At this moment, a staff member not far away raised his voice to remind them. All right, I'm coming. Lin Yan had no time to reply. She hastily put her phone away and tried to compose herself. However, it was obviously not very effective. Pei Nanshu noticed that Lin Yan was in a daze. He coughed softly and asked with concern, "Big sister-in-law, are you all right?" Lin Yan scowled at him. Do I look fine to you? Pei Yucheng's words had completely disrupted her mood. Mr. Pei, let me ask you a question. Please answer me seriously. How many girlfriends does your brother have? Is there 100 of them? Lin Yan couldn't help but ask. She felt that without 100 girlfriends, he would never be able to master this skill. Pei Nanshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How is that possible? As far as I know, you're the only one. Lin Yan was speechless. Every time he heard this answer, he felt that it was illogical. Lin Yan, how do you feel? Do you feel better after taking a break? Jiang Yiming asked eagerly. Lin Yan was speechless. Pei Nanshu said, let me adjust myself. Let's try again. Thus, the filming continued. Pei Nanshu replied, Chief Lin, I apologize for not coming out to welcome you. Lin Yan quipped, President Chen, it's just a small setback. Are you sure you won't be able to recover? Pei Nanshu narrowed his eyes. Jiang Yiming, cut. Nanshu, what did I say just now? You can't purposely weaken your aura. Remember, don't hold back. In this scene, your aura has to be at its peak. One more time. The second round continued. Pei Nanshu replied, Chief Lin, I apologize for not coming out to welcome you. Lin Yan replied, President Chen, it's just a small matter. Jiang Yiming yelled, Lin Yan. What's wrong with you? During the audition, this was the scene. Weren't you in a good state at the time? Even producer Feng and I were shocked by your aura. Why can't you adjust today? The sky was getting darker and darker. This scene had been repeated dozens of times, and everyone was exhausted. After so many times, Jiang Yiming still couldn't get the effect he wanted. He couldn't help but feel a little anxious. In order to catch up, the production crew split into two teams, A and B. Feng Anhua and the assistant director were in Team A. After hearing about the situation in Team B, Feng Anhua also rushed over. Old Jiang. What was going on? I think Lin Yan's acting is pretty good. That's enough. We're in a rush. What if we can't finish it by the deadline and it affects the screening time? Feng Anhua advised. You know nothing. This is not bad. Did you forget what she was like at the audition? The screening time was nothing. Do you know how important this scene is? What do you mean by, that's enough? I, Jiang Yiming, only have the best. Jiang Yiming, who had tolerated Feng Anhua for a long time, exploded. Chapter 308. Feng Anhua rubbed his nose in exasperation. Director Jiang, calm down, calm down. I'm being fair here. I watched their performance just now. You know how good Nanshu is. He's so good, yet you want him to unleash his aura. Nanshu is the pinnacle of acting in the entertainment industry. Why are you forcing Lin Yan, a newcomer who has never learned how to act, to suppress his aura? Aren't you making things difficult for him? Jiang Yiming finally calmed down. He knew very well that Lin Yan's performance during the audition had met his expectations. Hence, he had hoped that Lin Yan would be able to perform as well. Lin Yan, how did you act that time? Why don't you try to recall it? Feng Anhua suggested. Lin Yan was having a headache. It would be great if she could remember it. The problem was that she couldn't remember anything. Sorry, it was just a coincidence. Lin Yan replied helplessly. Jiang Yiming would be lying if he said that he wasn't disappointed. However, Lin Yan's performance had been good enough. Forget it. I'm asking too much of you. Let's do it one last time. Nanshu, you can hold back a little. Jiang Yiming finally relented. Feng Anhua heaved a sigh of relief. Everyone, get to your positions. One last time. Meanwhile, on the private plane, the man sat quietly in the luxurious cabin, his eyes glued to his phone. He had sent the message a long time ago, but Lin Yan hadn't replied. The man gazed out of the window as his thoughts drifted away. Finally, a strong sense of longing spread like a tidal wave, enveloping his soul as it traversed the distance to where the girl was, 20,000 miles in the sky. The man shut his eyes slowly as his phone fell to the ground. His consciousness faded away. Everyone, get to your positions. One last time. Lin Yan, are you ready? Jiang Yiming asked. It's fine. Relax. Pei Nanxiu comforted him. Jiang Yiming had finally relented. He could restrain himself now, which would make it easier for Lin Yan to act. Okay. Lin Yan inhaled deeply. She had failed so many times, especially when she was acting with Pei Nanxiu. She would be lying if she said that she wasn't upset. However, what else could she do? Her acting skills couldn't surpass Pei Nanxiu's. Could she really be possessed by a domineering president? I'm ready. Let's begin. Lin Yan said. The stage manager took the board and hit it. Then, the filming began. Lin Yan shut her eyes and adjusted her state of mind as she stood at the entrance of the nursing home. The next second, the girl opened her eyes and pushed open the door of the ward. The moment Lin Yan opened the door, the camera zoomed in on her. When the girl opened her eyes and pushed open the door, her originally bright and resplendent eyes instantly turned into a bottomless ocean. It looked calm and warm, but it seemed to contain a strong sense of oppression that made people not dare to look directly at it. When he had pushed the door open, he had glanced at Pei Nanxiu, who was lying on the sickbed. His domineering aura had enveloped the room like a shadow. Pei Nanxiu, who was about to retract his aura, couldn't help but feel shocked. Jiang Yiming, who had lost all hope, widened his eyes as well. He didn't even dare breathe loudly as he stared unblinkingly at Lin Yan. I've updated 7 chapters. I missed 1 chapter the day before yesterday, and I've updated 4 chapters yesterday. I'll update a few more chapters when I get back tonight. Chapter 309. When Pei Yuqing opened his eyes again, he realized that everything around him had changed. Pei Nanxiu, all sorts of lights, cameras, Jiang Yiming, Feng Anhua, this couldn't be his perspective. Once again, his consciousness entered Lin Yan's body uncontrollably. Pei Yuqing had finally confirmed the reason why he had lost control of his consciousness. It seemed that whenever his emotions were unstable or he missed Lin Yan too much, his consciousness would automatically attach itself to Lin Yan's body. Indeed, his soul was more honest than his body. Everyone watched as Lin Yan pushed the door open. The aura around her had changed completely. The girl's eyes scanned the room curiously. When her gaze landed on Pei Nanxiu, she paused for a moment before she scanned the crew. Almost everyone who was swept by that gaze couldn't help but be startled. She was still the same person, so why did she give off a completely different vibe after pushing the door open? Pei Yuqing, who seemed to have sensed something, frowned slightly. Lin Yan's left leg throbbed with a familiar pain. Then, he caught a glimpse of the production crew's blackboard. According to the information on the blackboard, there had been more than 30 NGs today. A second later, everyone watched as Lin Yan sauntered into the room. Unlike Lin Yan, who had walked in with her back straight, as though she was facing a formidable enemy, the girl was completely relaxed now. She looked as though she was taking a leisurely stroll in the park. She sat down on the couch beside Pei Nanxiu's bed as though there was no one around. However, the coldness that emanated from between her brows was so intense that no one dared to look her in the eye. He didn't do anything and didn't even say any lines, but the aura of a superior covered the entire space. After she sat down, the pain in her left leg subsided. Pei Yuqing's expression didn't look too good. He glanced at Pei Nanxiu as he rapped his knuckles rhythmically. When Pei Nanxiu met Pei Yuqing's eyes, he shuddered involuntarily when he saw Lin Yan's subtle movements. When he realized his fear and panic, Pei Nanxiu couldn't help but be taken aback. He could sense fear and panic in Lin Yan, which he had only felt when he was facing his own big brother. When Jiang Yiming finally regained his senses from the immense pressure, he almost burst into tears. It was time to show off. Lin Yan, this lass, was finally acting. Who was Lin Pianruo? She was a business empress whose desire to control power was no less than a man's. She only pursued her career all her life and would not let anything affect or stop her. In a sense, the male lead, Chen Jing, had a greater influence on her than her boyfriend. What she cared about the most was her opponent. Chen Jing was her only opponent. Hence, when she saw that Pei Nanxiu had become so depressed after a single defeat, she looked cold and dissatisfied. She even reprimanded him. After Lin Pianruo pushed open the door and entered the ward, she first casually looked around the ward. Then, her gaze landed on Chen Jing, who was in low spirits on the hospital bed. She immediately revealed a dissatisfied and reprimanding expression. Her expression also turned cold. Lin Yan's performance, from her aura to her expression, was perfect. Chapter 310. Besides, even Chen Jing had been defeated before, but Lin Pianruo had never been defeated. This was different from other dramas that used the guise of a palace struggle or a career. In reality, the female lead was in a relationship. Lin Pianruo was the only female character who was focused on her career. She was even more focused than the male characters. That was why so many fans loved her. Hence, Jiang Yiming had requested that Lin Yan suppress Pei Nanxiu's aura. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to maintain her image. Now, Lin Yan had finally mastered this character. Her aura had suppressed Pei Nanxiu's. It was perfect. Besides Jiang Yiming, even Feng Anhua was amazed by Lin Yan's performance. This little girl is very powerful. Even if the big boss up there were to personally come here, he wouldn't be able to produce such an aura, right? Feng Anhua clicked his tongue. Jiang Yiming agreed with him. Every time Lin Yan acted, she gave off the vibe of a big boss. Silence. Jiang Yiming was nervous and excited as he watched the two of them. Pei Nanxiu, who was lying on the bed, was shocked to realize that Lin Yan had almost suppressed his acting. He hurriedly tried to calm himself down and said the following lines: "Welcome, Boss Lin. Please excuse me for not going out to meet you." Lin Yan stopped tapping her fingers on the armrest when she heard him. However, there was still a layer of coldness between her brows, and a storm was brewing in her eyes. It was obvious that she was unhappy that Lin Yan had exhausted herself. Feng Anhua and Jiang Yiming felt a chill run down their spines. What was going on? Why did they feel a chill down their spines? Actually, Pei Nanxiu, who was standing closest to Lin Yan, was under more pressure. However, he was forcing himself to endure it. Lin Yan gazed out of the window, as though she was trying to recall something. Pei Yutong was speechless. "Big sister-in-law, you're the one with the best connections in the entertainment industry. Why don't you just use my big brother?" Lin Yan replied, "Forget it then. What if they scold your big brother for being blind? At least wait until I succeed." Pei Yutong replied, "What's wrong with that? Big brother wouldn't care." Lin Yan replied, "No way. Your brother doesn't care, but I do. Your brother is the best, the most powerful, and the most perfect in every aspect, so his girlfriend must also be the best." The girl's words echoed in Pei Yucheng's mind, and his expression softened a little. The gloominess and coldness dissipated, leaving behind an expressionless face. Pei Yucheng had read the script of Meeting One's Match, so he had a photographic memory. Hence, he was very familiar with Lin Yan's scenes. Besides, this was the scene that Lin Yan had performed during her audition. Since this was her wish, he would help her fulfill it. "Mr. Chen, it's just a small setback. Are you going to collapse?" Lin Yan recited her lines slowly. Then, Lin Yan stood up and strode away. Before he left, he said, "Working with me is your only choice." "Ka. Perfect. Let's go, Jiang Yiming shouted excitedly as he watched Lin Yan leave the ward. He was extremely satisfied with the scene. She had merely said these words casually and without any technique. However, every word she had said seemed to carry the weight of a mountain. The effect was better than he had imagined. During the entire scene, Pei Nanxiu had almost been overshadowed by them. He hadn't misjudged her. This lass was really talented. Chapter 311. Lin Yan. That was amazing. I knew you could do it. Jiang Yiming gazed at Lin Yan as though he was looking at a treasure. Pei Nanxiu chimed in sincerely, you were indeed amazing. Even I almost lost to you. Pei Nanxiu's smile froze on his face. What was going on? The filming had ended, but why was that familiar, fearful, and panicky feeling still around her? For a moment, the atmosphere was a little strange. Feng Anhua coughed softly and chuckled. She was too engrossed in her character. She must have been too engrossed in her character. Jiang Yiming chimed in, that's right. Such scenes were indeed exhausting. Lin Yan, congratulations on completing the scene. He had never imagined that Lin Yan, who had no acting experience at all, would be able to surprise him so much. Not only had her scenes with Wei Shufeng been perfect, but her scenes with Pei Nanxiu had also exceeded his expectations. The crew members clapped and applauded. Although they hadn't had a good impression of Lin Yan initially, they had realized that she wasn't as difficult to get along with as they had imagined. Instead, she was down to earth and her acting had improved tremendously. Congratulations. Lin Yan, congratulations on completing the scene. A crew member walked over with a bouquet of flowers to congratulate her. When Lin Yan woke up, she was greeted by this scene. Jiang Yiming was the first to clap as he watched her praise him. A bouquet of flowers was stuffed into his arms, while the crew members clapped and congratulated her on completing the scene. Completing the scene? She hadn't even finished filming yet. How could she have completed the scene? Lin Yan was still in a daze. Completed the scene? Yes, this was your last scene. Pei Nanxiu replied. How could this be? She hadn't been able to achieve the effect that Jiang Yiming had wanted. Lin Yan didn't say this out loud. She had a sudden realization. She was afraid that her illness was acting up again. Her memory had stopped at the moment when she had been about to start filming. She had completely lost track of the previous scenes. Damn it. She had thought that she had recovered after such a long time. Why did it suddenly start again? Lin Yan panicked, worried that she might have done something while she was unconscious. Based on her understanding of herself, when she was unconscious, the other consciousness that took over her body would almost always do something indescribable. He had done it with Pei Yucheng a few times. What if? What if that fellow became lustful and did something to Pei Nanxiu? Ahem. Mr. Pei, did I do anything wrong earlier? Lin Yan asked cautiously. Pei Nanxiu was puzzled by her sudden question. Something wrong? Lin Yan scratched her head, unsure of how to explain herself. She glanced at Jiang Yiming and coughed softly. Director Jiang, can I rewatch the scene I just filmed? Of course. Jiang Yiming led Lin Yan to the camera. You can watch it again. Remember this feeling. When the machine was turned on, the footage of the negotiation at the sanatorium instantly appeared on the screen. Lin Yan's expression changed the moment she saw herself. F***ck me. This is her? Had Pei Yucheng possessed her? Chapter 312. She wouldn't have believed that she could act this well. No matter how good her acting skills were, there were some things that couldn't be replicated. This was the first time she had seen with her own eyes what it looked like when she lost consciousness. Lin Yan stared at herself in the camera. She had a strange feeling. It didn't feel like a temporary amnesia. On the contrary, it felt as though her body had been possessed by someone. Oh yeah. Lin Yan, there's a gathering today. Remember to come tonight. Feng Anhua's voice interrupted Lin Yan's thoughts. Ah. Okay. Okay. Lin Yan snapped out of her daze and snapped back to her senses. How are you going there? Pei Nanshu asked. I'll take the subway, replied Lin Yan. Pei Nanshu frowned and replied, this is a secluded area, so you won't be able to hail a cab. If you want to get to the subway station, you will have to walk for a long time. Why don't you follow me? Lin Yan's eyes lit up instantly. However, she shook her head frantically. No, it's fine. I can go there myself. What a joke. She had finally managed to get through this week peacefully. If something were to happen again, who would she be able to reason with? At this moment, Feng Anhua's expression was a little strange when he saw this. Although Pei Nanshu had always seemed gentle and gentlemanly, he had a sense of distance and propriety. She hadn't expected that he would take the initiative to let Lin Yan follow him. Wasn't he being overly concerned? Producer Feng, does the crew have an extra car? Pei Nanshu asked Feng Anhua as he sensed that something was amiss. Feng Anhua replied hastily, yes, we do. The crew has arranged for a van. Lin Yan, wait here for a while. I'll get someone to call the driver and get him to pick you up. Lin Yan thanked him profusely. Thank you, Producer Feng. Pei Nanshu heaved a sigh of relief and bade Lin Yan farewell. I'll make a move first. Okay. Goodbye, Mr. Pei. Lin Yan held onto her bag and waited for about 15 minutes before a black van pulled up slowly. The driver peered out and said, Miss Lin, right? Producer Feng asked me to pick you up. Get in. Okay. Lin Yan nodded and opened the door. A second later, Lin Yan's mind went blank when she saw the four men in the back seat. Wei Shufeng was wearing a black leather jacket and ripped jeans. His red hair was messy and unruly. Shen Chaomu, who was dressed in a flowery shirt with 3 buttons undone, had a pair of seductive peach blossom eyes and was leaning against the back of his chair in a frivolous manner. Tang Jiaya, who looked to be 17 or 18 years old, was wearing a light blue sports jacket and had a handsome and well-behaved appearance. Han Yixuan was dressed in a luxurious retro sapphire blue suit. There must be something wrong with the way she opened the door. Lin Yan slammed the car door shut with a loud bang. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. With a swoosh, the car door was pulled open from the inside. Shen Chaomu blinked his almond-shaped eyes and grinned at Lin Yan. Hey, rumored girlfriend. Why aren't you getting in the car? Lin Yan was speechless. Why were these 4 guys in the car? She had finally made it to the end of filming and thought that she was finally free. But now, she was actually given this? What kind of van was this? She was afraid that this was a train of death. It was heading to hell. Chapter 313. Hey, rumored girlfriend. Why aren't you getting in the car? Shen Chaomu had said, get in the car. To Lin Yan, it sounded like he was telling her to get on the road. He wanted her to get in the car? What a joke. Initially, Lin Yan had rejoiced. Although there were many landmines in this production, she would only have scenes with Wei Shufeng and Pei Nanshu. She wouldn't be able to meet the rest of the cast. It had been a coincidence that she had bumped into Han Yixuan, who would have thought that the heavens would play such a big game the moment they started playing. In order to speed up the filming, the crew had split into 2 teams. Lin Yan was in Team B, while the rest of them were in Team A. She guessed that they must have been filming at the neighboring filming location. Since they were going to have a gathering, they had taken the crew's car. No. It's fine. I can go there myself. Lin Yan rejected the idea. Shen Chaomu couldn't help but chuckle when he saw Lin Yan's expression. Are you sure? This is a secluded area, so you won't be able to hail a cab. If you want to walk, it will be dark by the time you get there. Instinctively, Lin Yan glanced at her left leg with a frown. Given her condition, she shouldn't be moving around. Besides, the production crew wouldn't arrange a car for her. Shen Qiaomu, who seemed to know what she was worried about, grinned and said, "If you continue to stand at the door, someone will take a picture of you." Lin Yan's expression tightened. She had no choice but to grit her teeth and step forward. Anyway, she wouldn't be photographed if she stayed in the car. She could save money too. The car was spacious and luxurious. There were 6 seats in the back, divided into 3 rows, and each row had an automatic massage function. A crew member sat in the front passenger seat. Wei Shufeng and Shen Qiaomu sat in the first row, while Tang Jiaya sat in the second row and Han Yishuan sat in the third. There were 2 seats left. One was next to Tang Jiaya, while the other was next to Han Yishuan. Hence, Lin Yan was faced with 2 choices. Which seat should she sit next to? Tang Jiaya or Han Yishuan? Lin Yan bent her back and tried to maintain her posture. She was in a dilemma. Wei Shufeng, who had been meditating, opened his eyes and glanced sideways at Lin Yan. Tang Jiaya, who was seated in the second row, had opened a small table. There was a stack of test papers on it, and he seemed to be busy with his homework. Han Yishuan, who was seated in the last row by the window, was staring at her with his usual gloomy eyes. There was a tinge of coldness in them that was hard to detect. Shen Qiaomu, who was sitting in the first row, was the closest to her. He rested his chin on his hand and blinked as if he was watching a good show. "What? Miss Rumored Girlfriend, are you dazzled?" Lin Yan's face darkened. Could this fellow stop calling her his rumored girlfriend? Lin Yan rolled her eyes at Shen Qiaomu before she got into the car. She sat behind Shen Qiaomu and beside Tang Jiaya. Shen Qiaomu raised an eyebrow in surprise. He craned his neck to look at Lin Yan. "I thought you would sit in the last row." Shen Qiaomu glanced at Han Yishuan, who was seated in the last row. Lin Yan glanced at Shen Qiaomu helplessly. "Is there a difference? Why do you have to pick a place?" Shen Qiaomu was speechless, Tang Jiaya was speechless, Han Yishuan was speechless, Wei Shufeng was speechless. Chapter 314. It doesn't make a difference if I die in the hands of your fans. Lin Yan muttered softly. Shen Qiaomu hadn't expected Lin Yan's reply. He was startled for a moment before he burst out laughing. He studied the girl with interest. Ha ha ha, the girl didn't have any makeup on, and her hair was tied up in a simple ponytail. However, such a simple outfit couldn't conceal her beautiful features, especially her bright eyes. She was lazy and casual, but there was a hidden sharpness in her aura. She didn't look weak and pretentious at all. Instead, she was very attractive. Besides, Lin Yan's looks were different from the photos and videos online. Even her personality seemed to be very different. Shen Qiaomu stroked his chin as he studied the girl like a sly fox. He teased, "Oh, I suddenly realized that everyone is here today. All you need is Mr. Pei, and all your rumored boyfriends will be here." Lin Yan's face darkened when she heard him. Why did he sound like he was regretting it? He was simply watching the drama unfold. Shen Qiaomu grinned. "But it's all right. The 4 of us can play mahjong together." Lin Yan was speechless. "Shut up." Lin Yan glared at him and said coldly, "How can I compare to you, Senior Shen? You have enough rumored girlfriends to summon a dragon." Shen Qiaomu had always been considered the best lover by his fans because of his handsome appearance, sweet tongue, and flirting skills. However, his private life was a little too colorful, and he often changed girlfriends. He was a famous playboy in the entertainment industry, and he had dated many female celebrities. Shen Qiaomu seemed rather proud. "You flatter me. The new generation excels the old. Miss Lin, I will be killed by you sooner or later. Slap your grandpa." The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched as she zipped up her jacket to cover half her face. She then pulled her cap down and ignored Shen Qiaomu. Shin Chaomu said, "This car has a film, so people outside can't see inside. Don't be so nervous. Besides, I don't mind being involved in a few more scandals." Of course, he wouldn't mind, however, she wasn't the same. Lin Yan glanced at Shin Chaomu and replied expressionlessly, "I mind. Thank you." In order to stop Shin Chaomu's nonsense, she added, "My boyfriend gets jealous." It was rare for Lin Yan to realize that she had a boyfriend. It was mainly because Pei Yuqing had been too frightening. She couldn't help but remember it. Han Yishuan frowned as he sat in the back row. Wei Shufeng narrowed his eyes. Shin Chaomu raised an eyebrow. "You have a boyfriend?" Lin Yan glanced at him. "Is there a problem?" Although she couldn't let others know her boyfriend's identity, she didn't intend to hide the fact that she had a boyfriend. Shin Chaomu was shocked to hear this. "No way. Among us, there's actually one of us who's real?" The veins on Lin Yan's forehead throbbed. What kind of comprehension ability did he have? When did she say that her boyfriend was one of them? Everyone instinctively turned to look at Lin Yan when they heard Shin Chaomu. Even Tang Jiaya, who was doing his homework, lifted his head. Chapter 315. Lin Yan was about to explain, but Shin Chaomu had already begun to guess. Could it be Wei Shufeng? I thought it was strange that Wei Shufeng hadn't chased you out of the production. So it's because you have a... Before Shin Chaomu could finish, Wei Shufeng interrupted him with a dark expression. Shin Chaomu, do you have a death wish? He despised actresses like Lin Yan, who had no talent and could only rely on hype to get ahead. She was the type of person he despised the most. In his eyes, only a girl like Boss, who was handsome and strong and had never attached herself to anyone, was the most charming and charming. He didn't want to be tainted by a woman like Lin Yan. Shin Chaomu grinned like a fox. All right. I almost forgot about your Weibo post. Besides, I remember that you swore to remain chaste for your goddess, Yeva. Wei Shufeng snorted coldly. Shin Chaomu's eyes trailed to Han Yishuan as he continued to guess. Is that Brother Xian? Han Yishuan's expression hardened as he glared at Lin Yan, as though he was warning her not to spout nonsense. Shin Chaomu muttered under his breath, but it doesn't seem possible. Everyone knew that Han Yishuan was taken. Before Shin Chaomu could finish, Lin Yan's eyes darted to Han Yishuan's face and she replied nonchalantly, "Of course it's impossible. I'm not blind." Han Yishuan's face darkened when he heard Lin Yan. Initially, he had thought that Lin Yan would continue to pester him and spread the news that he was her boyfriend. He hadn't expected that she would deny it and even say something like that. Shin Chaomu was surprised by Lin Yan's blunt reply. He had thought that she would cozy up to Han Yishuan. Shin Chaomu seemed to have thought of something as he turned to look at Tang Jiaya, who was busy doing his homework. He turned to Lin Yan and exclaimed, "Our little boy is still underage. Can you be a human being?" Cough, cough, cough. Tang Jiaya coughed and waved his hands with difficulty. "No. I'm not." Lin Yan clenched her fists and glared at him. "Who said it was him? You should be a human being. What was going on in that head of his? But it's not me. Who could it be?" The more Shin Chaomu thought about it, the more curious he became. Lin Yan rolled her eyes at him. "Did I say that it was one of you? Please don't let your imagination run wild, Senior Shen." Shin Chaomu had almost infuriated Lin Yan. When she finally reached the entrance of the hotel, she sprinted out of the car. In the private room, Feng Anhua and the others had already arrived. Lin Yan strode over to Feng Anhua. "Producer Feng, oh, Lin Yan. You're here." Feng Anhua noticed that Lin Yan looked pale. "What's wrong?" Lin Yan inhaled deeply. "Producer Feng, did you call for the van?" "Yeah, you're welcome. Our production team has always taken care of our artists like this," Feng Anhua said with a smile. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. Did you know if there was anyone else in the car? Young Master Wei seems to be here. Why? Feng Anhua was puzzled. Lin Yan replied, Han Yishuan, Shin Chaomu, and Tang Jiaye are in the car too. Feng Anhua, Chapter 316. Feng Anhua spotted Wei Shufeng, Han Yishuan, Shin Chaomu, and Tang Jiaye trailing behind Lin Yan. Feng Anhua stared at them in shock. After some time, he asked meekly, why are the three of them here? Lin Yan furrowed her brows and sighed. Producer Feng, are you going to get rid of me because I'm done with my scenes today and you don't need me anymore? Feng Anhua coughed softly. Ha. Lin Yan, what are you talking about? It's a misunderstanding. I didn't know that they were in that car. Did anything happen? Lin Yan, who had just escaped from hell, was at a loss for words. Fortunately, nothing happened. If the paparazzi had caught a photo of me, I would have been sacrificed to the heavens. Being sacrificed to the heavens was a small matter. If Pei Yuqing were to find out, she wouldn't be able to live, Feng Anhua comforted her. Actually, it doesn't matter if you were photographed. Just treat it as creating a KPI for the production team. A scandal like yours is worth a lot of attention. Furthermore, it was such an explosive incident. Lin Yan's face darkened when she heard that. She suspected that Feng Anhua was trying to stir up trouble on purpose. Today, the crew members were all present. From the director, assistant director, scriptwriter to producer, as well as all the main actors of the show, they were all gathered together. Although Han Yishuan was just a minor character, he had been invited because of his high status and powerful background. He had even been seated at the head of the table after Pei Nanshu's seat. Previously, Han Yishuan's identity as the Han family's eldest young master had not been announced to the public. It was only because of a certain paparazzi's exposure that everyone knew that Han Yishuan was the eldest young master of the prestigious Han family in the imperial capital. This caused quite a stir. Actually, Lin Yan hadn't known at first. When she had first met Han Yishuan, he had been an ordinary student. She had only found out about his family after they had dated for a long time. But at the time, she didn't think much of it. After all, there were too many rich people in the racing circle. Her circle was full of them, and any random family could be worth hundreds of millions. That was because, apart from some truly talented racers, those who didn't have money couldn't afford to race. Those who could afford to race were more or less not simple. Later on, Lin Yan had unintentionally revealed Han Yishuan's background to Lin Shih. Perhaps Lin Shih had been interested in Han Yishuan ever since then. Lin Shih had known about Han Yishuan's background a long time ago. However, Han Yishuan had claimed that only Lin Shih truly loved him and not because of his money. Lin Shih claimed that she had only found out about Han Yishuan's true identity after reading the news. Lin Yan chuckled. Feng Anhua comforted Lin Yan with a few perfunctory words before he hurried off to greet her like a butterfly. Pei Nanshu heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that Lin Yan had arrived safely. He was about to speak when his phone rang. The caller ID was Big Brother. He hurried out of the room to answer the call. Lin Yan scanned the round table and found an inconspicuous spot to sit down. When she finally sat down, she was struck by a sudden thought. Oh no. She had forgotten to reply to Pei Yuqing's message. Lin Yan whipped out her phone hastily and clicked on WeChat. She stared at his last message. Miss Lin, I miss you so much that I've fallen ill. Her cheeks flushed. Chapter 317. Outside the private room, Pei Nanshu didn't know what the person on the other end of the line was saying, but he looked surprised. What? You want to see him now? I'm afraid it's not convenient. But it's fine. I'll think of something. I'll make the arrangements. After hanging up, Pei Nanshu made another call and called his assistant over. Brother Su, you called me? Help me. Pei Nanshu deliberated over his words, trying to figure out how to phrase it. What do you mean, Brother Su? The assistant was puzzled. Pei Nanshu coughed softly. I want to see if there's a place in this hotel that's suitable for a private meeting. It's also a place where the reporters won't be able to capture us. The assistant was still puzzled. Private meeting? Is it a place where we need to talk? Pei Nanshu had no choice but to be frank. A suitable place for a private meeting. When the assistant heard this, her face was filled with fear. Private meeting. Brother Su, why are you asking? Was Brother Su planning to meet a girl in private? The assistant stammered, Is it, in this hotel? Pei Nanshu replied, Yeah. The assistant scowled miserably. Brother Su, don't be rash. Are you planning to meet a girl? Pei Nanshu replied, Just make the arrangements. Don't ask questions that you shouldn't ask. The assistant hesitated, but he didn't dare disobey. He had no choice but to follow Pei Nanshu's instructions. After a while, the assistant panted heavily as he returned. If it's a hotel room, there's a high chance that we'll be captured. If we're caught entering or leaving the room, we won't be able to explain ourselves. Hence, it's not suitable. I went to check it out myself. The fire escape on the 13th floor is quite secluded. There's an abandoned storeroom there. We definitely won't be discovered. Pei Nanshu nodded. Got it. Pei Nanshu made a call. After the call, Pei Nanshu sent a text message. When he was done, he heaved a sigh of relief and returned to the room. At the same time, Lin Yan, who was racking her brains for a reply, suddenly received a message. It was from Pei Nanshu, and the content was strange. Pei Nanshu typed, Big sister-in-law, can you go to the storeroom on the 13th floor? Lin Yan read the text curiously. What was she supposed to do there? Coincidentally, Pei Nanshu had returned to his seat. Instinctively, Lin Yan raised her head and cast him a suspicious glance. Pei Nanshu nodded and pointed at his cell phone, gesturing for her to hurry over. Although Pei Nanshu's request was strange, Lin Yan didn't doubt him at all. Since Pei Nanshu had said that, there had to be something important. Hence, Lin Yan stood up and walked out of the room. Lin Yan, where are you going? The banquet is about to start. Jiang Yiming asked casually. I'm going to the bathroom. Lin Yan replied perfunctorily and hurried away. Lin Yan was worried that she would delay Pei Nanshu, so she hurried to the place he had mentioned. There was no one in the corridor except for Lin Yan's footsteps, which she had deliberately tried to make as light as possible. Finally, she found a room with a sign that read, Miscellaneous Room. Lin Yan stood at the door and blinked in confusion. She stared at the rusty, old metal door, feeling even more puzzled. Why had Pei Nanshu asked her to come here? Although it was a request from her idol, it was too strange. If someone else had asked her to come to a place like this, she would have suspected that they were trying to murder her. Chapter 318. Lin Yan swallowed her saliva nervously as she stood in front of the storeroom. Would a room full of haters rush out and beat her up? She couldn't be blamed for letting her imagination run wild. Pei Nanshu had asked her to come here all of a sudden, which was really strange. Lin Yan shook her head to clear her mind. She had confirmed with Pei Nanshu when she had entered the room. Pei Nanshu had to be up to something. At this thought, Lin Yan hurried to the storeroom and reached out to push the door. The door was covered in dust, and the lock was rusted. Lin Yan gently pushed the door open, but it seemed to be unlocked. Lin Yan exerted a little more force, and a second later, the door was pushed open with a loud squeak. Lin Yan strode in. There was no light in the storeroom, so it was dark. There was only a small window at the top that let in some light. She could vaguely see the messy furnishings in the room. The room was covered in dust and cobwebs. It seemed like no one had used this place for a long time. Lin Yen was pondering over Pei Nanshu's intentions when she suddenly saw a red light in the darkness. The light flickered in the darkness of the night. After Lin Yen got used to the dim light, she finally saw that the red light was a lit cigarette. In the darkness, a tall figure was standing diagonally next to the dilapidated cabinet. The night breeze blew away the dark clouds, and the light from the small window at the top became brighter. The man was wearing an oversized trench coat. His eyes were lowered, and he was holding a cigarette between his fingernails. The cigarette was burning quietly, and the red light flickered in the darkness. The man seemed to have sensed Lin Yan's footsteps, so he turned his head slightly in her direction. Although Lin Yan couldn't see the man's face clearly due to the faint smell of tobacco, she recognized him immediately. Pei Yucheng. In the darkness, the man's eyes seemed to be darker than the night sky. The abandoned storeroom was silent, and the man's silhouette in the dark was so charming that it made one's heart palpitate. Just as Lin Yan was rooted to the spot, the man's hoarse voice rang in her ears. Come here. The night wind blew away the dark clouds. Lin Yan could finally see the man's face clearly. In the darkness of the night, the man's face looked a little tired. He wore a loose and casual windbreaker, and his whole body was covered in dust. He looked at her with a cold and indifferent gaze, but in an instant, her body was ignited. That low and hoarse voice made her whole body tense up. Lin Yan blinked and instinctively strode toward the man. She looked surprised as she said, Mr. Pei? It really is you. Mr. Pei suddenly asked me to come here. I was wondering what was going on. There were all sorts of things at her feet, but she carefully avoided them as she walked in Pei Yucheng's direction. She was about 2 to 3 steps away from Pei Yucheng. Mr. Pei, aren't you going to be back next week? Why did he suddenly return to the country? It's still here. Before she could finish, Lin Yan felt a grip around her waist, and the rest of her words got stuck in her throat. The man's eyes were as cold as ever as he watched the girl before him quietly. He pinched the cigarette between his fingers and crushed it. Before Lin Yan could reach him, he stretched out his long arms and pulled her into his embrace. Chapter 319. By the time Lin Yan regained her senses, she had already been pulled into a cold embrace. In an instant, the entire world was filled with that familiar, forest-like aura, mixed with the faint smell of tobacco. Although they had been dating for a long time and had even kissed each other, she had never been so close to Pei Yucheng. Pei Yucheng didn't seem like the kind of person who would have intense emotions. Every time he flirted with her, he would be able to do it with ease. However, this hug seemed to reveal a trace of his unstable emotions. Lin Yan's mind went blank. She was completely dumbfounded by this sudden hug. Instinctively, Pei Yucheng's words rang in her mind. I miss you so much that I fall ill. Pei Yucheng had suddenly rushed back and appeared in this abandoned warehouse. Could it be because he had missed her, so he had rushed back earlier? He had wanted to see her immediately, but he was worried that she had said that they couldn't let anyone know about their relationship. That was why he had asked Pei Nanshu to arrange this meeting place. For a moment, Lin Yan was frightened by this thought. In the quiet storeroom, only the sound of their breathing could be heard. Beep, beep, beep. At this moment, a familiar voice suddenly came from the silence. Instinctively, Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yucheng's watch. Based on her guess, this watch should be the medical detector. It seemed like the moment Pei Yucheng was agitated and his body went over the limit, it would sound the alarm. How had she agitated him again? Lin Yan panicked when she heard the alarm. Air. It's ringing. The watch is ringing again. I have to find a doctor. Lin Yan wanted to move, but she was pressed back down. I'm fine. I'll be fine in a while, the man replied. Lin Yan was speechless. How could he be fine? Pei Yutong had made it sound so serious. Lin Yan panicked. How could you be fine? Third young master has already told me about your condition. Are you too tired from the trip? Pei Yucheng listened to Lin Yan's anxious voice and opened his eyes slowly. His eyes sparkled with a smile as he nodded. Yeah. She knew it. Lin Yan was about to speak when Pei Yucheng added, I miss you too much. Lin Yan was speechless. It was a completely different feeling to send a text message to Pei Yucheng personally. She could still tolerate texting, but now, she was a little overstimulated. Had he really missed her so much that he had asked Pei Nanxiu to arrange such a small place to meet her? Lin Yan had an indescribable feeling in her heart. Lin Yan hastily changed the topic. I haven't had the chance to tell you yet. My mother, grandfather, and Uncle Xia have settled the matter. Thank you. Pei Yucheng replied, Miss Lin, you don't have to be so polite. I was the one who caused this. But you didn't do it. I misunderstood before. I'm sorry, Lin Yan then explained, after all, given your power and influence, you have many ways to force me. You could have done that with just a word. That's why I was so agitated and unconsciously misunderstood you. I didn't expect that. Pei Yucheng finally let go of the girl and regained his composure. Do you want to know why? Chapter 320. Lin Yan nodded instinctively. Pei Yucheng's attitude and actions were contradictory, so she couldn't understand them at all. After seeing Pei Yucheng's true colors, she had no doubt that he would do such a thing. Hence, she really couldn't understand why he hadn't done so. Indeed. I can't figure it out. Lin Yan answered honestly. In the darkness, the man was covered in dust. He looked at her quietly and said, I can't bear to. Because he couldn't bear to, Lin Yan was speechless. The moment she said that, Lin Yan felt as though something had struck her heart. The numbness spread from her heart to her limbs. Damn it, she had randomly made up a topic to ease the agitation. Why had it gotten even more intense? Lin Yan was really confused now. What kind of attitude did Pei Yucheng have towards her? He was really, like a fog, rain, and wind. She couldn't figure it out at all. Lin Yan scratched her head awkwardly, not knowing how to respond. She mumbled, Did Mr. Pei find this place? Pei Yucheng replied, Yeah. Lin Yan coughed. Ahem. It's indeed quite safe. Pei Nanxiu was an awe-inspiring actor, yet he had to worry about finding a place for them to meet in private. However, Pei Yucheng had requested it himself. Pei Nanxiu had done so. Lin Yan gazed at Pei Yucheng with a conflicted expression. Not long ago, he had wanted to control everything about her. Now, he was so considerate and cooperative. You came back a few days earlier. Have you finished your work? Asked Lin Yan casually. There are still some finishing touches. I don't need to be there, replied Pei Yucheng. Lin Yan replied, Oh yeah, I finished filming today. Pei Yucheng replied, Yeah, I know. Huh. He knew. Pei Nanxiu must have told him. In this dilapidated and dim little black room, the two of them chatted on and off. Lin Yan stared at the man before her. Even though he was in such a terrible situation, he still seemed like a god who had descended from heaven. It felt surreal. She had initially planned to try her best to explain things to him when they met. However, after talking to Pei Yutang and learning about Pei Yucheng's condition, she had completely given up on that idea. Besides, Lin Yan glanced at his watch. The watch was still beeping. Although it seemed to be slowing down, it didn't stop at all. Hence, Lin Yan didn't dare utter a word. Lin Yan coughed softly and pretended to be chatting casually. Oh yeah, I have a close friend who has been troubled recently. She has been telling me that the reason she is with her boyfriend isn't because she likes him. She is putting on an act for some special reason. Now, she is struggling to decide if she should tell her boyfriend about this. Pei Yucheng listened to the girl quietly, his expression unreadable. No one could tell what he was thinking. Mr. Pei, what do you think? Lin Yan asked cautiously. For a moment, neither of them spoke, and the room was silent. After an unknown period of time, the man's deep voice came into her ears. The difference between a casual playful act and a lifelong love is that the casual playful act is slightly longer. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.